Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, Larry, Punk, just so many different names, and there's mean ones that people also will call me. And today I have a very special, special guest, Mr. Black Genghis. KJ, how are you doing?
Man, it's good hanging out with you, man. And whoever's calling you mean names, just point them my way, and I'll scare the shit out. Sorry, I don't want to demonetize. Sorry.
I don't care, man. I have been called mean things before, and guess what? Sometimes I probably deserve them.
Yeah, man. But how you doing? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I did a 24-hour fast yesterday, and I wanted to actually do longer, but we had a lunch for work, so I ate my lunch, and then I'm fasting now until hopefully I'll make it till dinner time tomorrow. So
Oh, in that case, out of solidarity, I have a snack, but I will not eat until after our
you know
episode.
what?
I'm not
No,
gonna do that to you.
that type of stuff doesn't bother me because it's like I'm choosing to do it. It's not like it's not like someone's an alcoholic and they're trying to stop it. You're drinking around them.
Right. Oh, and I spilled beer on your shoes. Oh, and like no, yeah.
Oh, that hurts so much, man. So anyway, great to finally have you on. I know you've been on the show before, and I've been on show. I think I've been on other shows with you.
Yeah.
Either way, we've talked an awful lot over these past almost 2 years, I would say.
Yeah. Shout out! I see you repping Island Misfit Toy Collectors. Shout out to
Yes,
Joe
yes.
Ryan
This
Sweeney.
this is the Olivia design. I had her get rid of the box because I didn't like the box, and then I sent it
Okay.
over. I didn't like the box, so I
I mean, you should have told me because you know what? Hold on a second. I'm gonna stop my camera. Give me a second. Count to 30.
count to 30. So anyway, while we're waiting, let's just run through here really quick and say hi to the chat. So uh Travis was in earlier, toy kind of mood. We have Action Figs Ed, one of my moderators. Wraith Mace is here. GI Bro is in the house. David R. Legend Series. Look at all these wonderful creamery creamery members, right? All part of the creamery here. Black Genghis is obviously here. Bees Battleground at work. Will be hitting up the replay tomorrow. Aaron the Toy Enhancer, where I will be in 1 week at his house. I'm hoping by this point, when my pre-recorded live stream goes up, I will be there. Son of a Crayon Slayer, JLS Comics is here. 3-star draw Legend Series, who is now on, I believe, 2 streams, both on Mondays and Thursdays. They go on a little bit before me. I'm not sure if they're going to run over. Either way, YouTube is a very big platform for all of us. We have Viper Scouters in the house. Grievance, who has every single one of the last Crimson Vipers. If you haven't seen, he posted a picture, and I'm pretty sure he has every single one of them. And then we have Justin Booth, who just became a member, and you know what members get right now? You get
Welcome to the Creamery.
so thank you
Welcome
for
to the
joining.
Creamery.
Oh,
Welcome to the Creamery.
I don't know why the default is on to auto tune. Yes, there it is. And KJ is back. Yeah, so see the box? I didn't like the box. So I had him send it over and I had it removed. I made my daughter remove it.
I need that's a dope version. I can go either way, but I do like yours. I like your version.
And let's see, we have Shark Eyes here, and then of course we have. Well, I gotta find it. I'm still working on this stuff, right?
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Aaron the Toy Enhancer, welcome to the Creamery. You know what? Because I haven't seen my daughter since Sunday.
Welcome to the Creamery.
It's funny. We have G78. Thank you very much. I'm not trying to say that name. Chaz the Guru is here. Man, you let anyone on your show. Just kidding.
What's up, Chaz?
Punk and KJ? All right. So I'm sure we'll have some more come in. Hit that like button if you haven't already. But let's just get right into it. Now, everyone, what do people call you? Do they call you KJ or do they call you Black Genghis? Because I
They
feel
call me
weird.
they call me KJ. The YouTube community calls me Black Genghis. Sometimes they call me BG. My dad's initials is KJ, so I stole that from my dad when I was a little kid. It's like I want to be KJ too. I'm KJ. Yeah, my people
Really?
is kids. No,
That's so weird because my dad always went by Lawrence, so I always went by Larry.
yeah,
And then as we got older, it swapped.
you're right. Exactly. Yeah.
So where does Black Genghis come from? Now I'm sorry if I'm jumping to conclusions.
No, it's
But I
okay.
think I figured out where black comes from.
Right.
But where does that name come from?
Two things. So, a classmate of mine, I went to film school, and one of my film school classmates is like, "Yeah, man, you're the Genghis of this shit, Genghis Khan." I'm like, "Yeah," and like one of my favorite movies, was Mongol, um, and it was a great film about the life of Kublai Khan, also known as Genghis, and even though in history his legacy is bloody, I mean, the man was by all rights a murderer. He killed so many people across Asia. He changed the human genome. Like we look different because of Genghis Khan. Like that's how destructive the Mongol Empire was. But
Yeah, I not to cut you off, but I mean I was watching something and they were talking about that, and I was just like, I didn't realize it, and then you like the genocide that he created was just
yeah, there's no getting around that. And so when I picked the name, I was like, yeah, it sounds cool. And I got everything. I got Transformers, G.I. Joes, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. I'm like Genghis Khan. I united all these brands under a golden horde. But yeah, in light of that, of the intensity of the name, it grabs people's attention. And sometimes for the wrong reasons. If you know your history, you Genghis Khan should probably be more vilified than he is, and his deeds have been lost to antiquity. So I benefited from the common folks' lack of knowledge and basic ignorance around Genghis Khan. They know he's like a big history name, but they don't.
I think as we get further away from the past, people they know he didn't do good things, but they don't realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
Where World War II is still fresh in some people's minds. You know,
Oh.
it is still right there.
Also, Bobby Wool in the chat has a good point. He's one of the building blocks of Sorpentor.
That is true too.
So there's that. And the thing is, when you're a kid, you just know these historical names. It's not until you get older that you know just how dirty and bloody history is. So yeah, it was a cool name. But the more you know your history, because like once I was like called myself Black Genghis and whatnot, someone objected to it. I was like, just chill out. It's just Genghis Khan, blah blah. And I looked into it. I was like, okay. They didn't put everything in that movie, right? So
Yeah, but again, like you can't, you know, when you go back to World War II, like there's people that are still affected today by it.
Yeah.
No one is directly affected by that. No one is directly affected by Lincoln being murdered. You know,
Yeah.
like so you can make the jokes about it. Not that I'm saying you're making a joke about it.
No.
I totally understand. Until generations die off, like we can make jokes about the Titanic, right? It was an awful thing that happened. All right, it really was an awful thing that happened.
Like who laughed when the guy hit the propeller in Titanic? You know what I'm saying? It's like there's always a handful. It was. It's like, come on, what do you want me to do? You know, like, come on.
And things on the bingo list that I did not think we would be talking about: the Titanic.
Right. It's gonna be a long one, folks. I'll be on your bingo cards ready.
All right,
but yeah, as like I said, you just want to grab people's names. Like I have another project I'm working on that will probably be a lot tamer, right? So it won't be like, for example, when I linked up with the Toy Kind of Mood dudes, they had their own portal.
who I've never heard of them.
They're a really small indie group. I think they just made 30 subscribers yesterday.
Okay.
But the point is, they had a website called God Hates Geeks, and that was like so intense. It grabbed my attention because when you're a kid growing up, especially like you grow up a nerd or a geek, like if sometimes it feels like that. It feels like, man, dude, like does God hate me? Why does everybody hate me? So like it grabbed me. Like I wasn't offended by it, but we kept as the profile grew, they actually had to change their name into Geeks Have Game. And then once the toy stuff started really taking off, the Geeks Have Game YouTube channel became Toy Kind of Mood. And like I was with those guys before Toy Kind of Mood launched. And and now they're going to do a relaunch of Geeks Have Game. And that's kind of thrilling to see because they're really taking it back to its roots. But that's just one of the things where sometimes like you can be too intense for your own good. And you have to like sort of like realize, like I couldn't do, if I wanted to talk about movies and comic books and pop culture, I wouldn't dare use Black Genghis. Like I figured I could get away with it because if you're a collector, you've already chosen sort of an intense involving hobby.
Yes.
So like the collector I've come across usually has a thicker skin, is not, that quick to offense compared to other fans. So I got away with it, and I'm still getting away with it. But it is,
again, I think if anyone is offended by that, that is someone that is looking to be offended by stuff.
Yeah.
Again, that's not me because you can't offend me unless I allow you to offend me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth of it. You have to be pretty nasty when it comes to
disrespect is its own punishment. And disrespectfulness leaves a mark on you that once you choose that, that's who you are. And that's on you. You're stuck with that. I don't have to reflect your disrespect upon me. I respect myself. So it doesn't matter what you do. That's on you. And that's why you have to carry yourself with respect for your own sake. This is a really comfy shirt. This is really comfortable. I like this. Shout out to the Island of Misfit Toy Collectors, man, for real. All right.
Yeah, usually he's in. Anytime there's people that he's associated with and close with, he's in right away. He'll be in later on.
Yeah, or a replay squad. For real.
I always thought it was funny. What I always thought was funny about Ryan was he would at first he always seemed to be bowing out early, like he was, like he went to bed early. Now I see him showing up at 11 o'clock in my chat, and I'm like, what are you doing before that now? All right, well, let's just get into how do you mind me asking how old you are?
41.
Okay. And where did you grow up at? Where were you born and grow up at?
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. So
okay.
Shout out to Midwest. My dad was a retired Army, worked for IBM, so we moved all over the place. So I grew up split between Durham, North Carolina, and Dallas, Texas. So my formative years were Texas. And what I appreciate most about Texas is that basically they taught me how to make sure no one fucked with me. So like the moment that any static or anything started, finish it. You have like a window of seconds to finish it once it starts. Like all right, thank you Texas for that. I will always use that.
You were born in St. Louis.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
Since I was 4. But the thing is, I have a very large family. I always say that I can't date a black woman from St. Louis because we are related. So, but we would always go back. We would go back for 4th of July, for picnics, for family reunions, just to visit people, especially when we lived in Texas. Texas was just closer. It was more like a north-south thing to St. Louis. So it was easier to traverse than North Carolina, which was east and west, and just a longer trip. So living in Texas, we could go to St. Louis whenever, and we would have family over from St. Louis. So St. Louis was always close. And that's why I don't really have a Texan accent or a Southern accent. Not really.
A lot of people, I mean, Matthew, he's from Texas or lives in Texas. He doesn't have it. Radnam doesn't have it. So I don't hear a lot of it from. I hear a lot of people with. I mean, I know the Texas accent, but I think it's. Sometimes I think you get the accent because you choose to want it.
Yeah.
I have to say, I took the kids to St. Louis a couple years ago and had a blast.
Okay.
I was looking to go somewhere. It was originally going to be Chicago, but so expensive. And then when I look at St. Louis, it was like 6 hours further to drive and way cheaper, but had so much stuff.
Yeah.
And there was so much stuff to do there. We had a blast. I mean, an absolute blast there. And I would love to go back there. Unfortunately, the kids are getting older, so you don't do that type of stuff as much. The next big trip will be in a few years, and Olivia wants to go back to Disney.
All right.
You know what? That will be 4 for her, 5 for the rest of us, because she came a little later than everyone. But I'm like, no, I love going to Disney too. I'm one of those people. Like, her and I, the final day, my son didn't want to go. Her and I went and just had a blast at the Animal Kingdom. So I love that stuff. But anyway, so you've been from St. Louis. You said Tennessee.
No. North Carolina.
North
and
Carolina.
Texas. Yeah.
Texas. And where do you live now?
I'm in Los Angeles, California. I've been here for the last 15 years. And LA has changed a lot since the time I moved here now.
All right. So growing up, did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have one brother. But like I said, I had cousins that grew up with me. And I had a lot of cousin siblings, basically.
All right. So did you have like built-in
Yeah.
You had built-in friends to play with. You didn't have to go out and find someone. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So were your parents married? Do you mind me asking? Or
Yeah. I believe they married right after my older brother was born. My older brother is about 5 years older than me, but they were married by the time I came along.
So they were having premarital sex.
Hey, it was the 70s, man. Everybody was having premarital sex. Get down, but they get down. And I'm a September baby, so that meant my parents, they like to party. That's what that means. Yeah.
I never even realized that.
Keep track. See how many of your friends were born in September. Yeah.
My birthday is in December, so I seem to know all my friends that are November, December, and January.
Yeah.
It just kind of hangs up. It just kind of hangs like that. All right. So where did you spend the majority of your childhood, would you say?
Man, I think it was just cut in half. It was like my childhood, I could honestly say, was 3 periods. Whereas like my early childhood was St. Louis. And I still remember, sitting down watching Sesame Street in St. Louis, shout out to Tony Omick. Yeah. And also North Carolina. And then I lived in North Carolina twice. So I lived in North Carolina, kindergarten to 2nd grade. Moved to Texas. I couldn't wait to get away from North Carolina. In Texas was 2nd grade right up to the middle of 8th grade, which is the worst time to move, right before high school. What helped out was that I was moving back to a place I lived before. In fact, when I moved back to North Carolina, one of my friends from kindergarten and whatnot remembered me. I was like, holy crap, you remember me? But Texas was my formative. Texas was, Power Rangers, Mortal Kombat. That was arcades, CC's Pizza, Killer Instinct, that kind of stuff, right? That was and I still collected toys and all that kind of stuff. The North Carolina years, those were the G.I. Joe, Transformer, Robotech, Voltron, Masters of the Universe years, the Captain Power years, the Bionic 6 years, that kind of stuff, right? So it was there were different eras of my childhood.
I didn't realize how many people we have from North Carolina. Wow. And then we have Tony's Figs jumping in. What's up, both?
What's up, Terra Drome? What's up, man?
And
by the way, me and Tony are relaunching Welcome to the Terra Drome on Black Genghis YouTube. Stay tuned.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We will definitely talk about that because Tony and I actually were talking about that, and he did mention that to me today. So hope it wasn't a secret. If it was, Tony.
No, it's fine. It's all I'm letting everybody
Welcome
know.
to the Creamery.
I'm stoked.
All right. So we have Wraith Mace, who is so generous on so many nights that I go live. 5 Punk memberships, 2 Toyamic displays, Zazo's Clubhouse, Con Con Housing, Snow Wolf. I think that's it. Thank you very much, Wraith. Seriously, you yeah, I talked to you earlier today, man. You're one of the good ones for sure, man. So growing up, do you remember like the first toys you really like played with? Like the first toys you got into?
I mean,
You're a little bit younger than me,
yeah.
so not everyone. I know most people my age, they say the adventure people.
I mean, because
But you're younger.
I'm younger. My brother is about 5 years older, and then once again, my cousin. So a lot of stuff was hand me down. Clothes were hand me down. The toys were hand me downs, right? So I remember playing with my brother's Voltron. Like a lot of the Joes, they weren't my Joes; those were his Joes. He wouldn't let me touch his Star Wars stuff. So like his Star Wars stuff. So I remember, like I remember his Millennium Falcon. It's like, all right, I don't want to touch that. I want the Joes, like all that kind of stuff, right? So like the Star Wars stuff was his, right? And it's like so. But I could still play with like GI Joes and stuff like that. I had the Rock Lord GoBots, so like they would transform into rocks. I love that shit. I don't know why.
You like that?
I love it. And like I remember, like I had some He-Man toys. Like I had Cyclone, Rio Blast. I had the Dragon Ripper. I got all that stuff. I got all that stuff in Origins. I love that stuff. So I can't tell you what the first toy was. I can tell you the first time I made an Inspector Gadget out of Legos. I can tell you like the first time, I was having laser tag matches with our Captain Power Jets and whatnot, playing with Transformers. I didn't have Optimus. I had Ultra Magnus. I had
like the first.
Pamphlet.
But do you remember like the first toys like that you gravitated to that you were like?
I think that's why I'm Black Genghis, man, because I liked it all,
Yeah.
and because we had such a big family, there were a lot of toys.
So you just had a toy box full of mix.
Toy box. I had a Sesame Street school bus toy box. I still have that toy box.
Oh man,
my Rock Viper is still in there. My Arctic Stalker is still in there. Like this is stuff like I don't have kids yet. The plan was to like pass that stuff on down to kids, and it's still in the plans. But it's like I got to start making moves and getting my ass out there.
You got to make
one
babies
thing at a time. One thing at a time. Huh?
You gotta have babies to make.
Gotta have babies.
See, I'm not the only one that still has my childhood stuff. So
yeah, I have a lot of. So I still have the Night Raven. Still got the what is it? The Mud Skipper, the Mud Flapper. It's a thing. It's so like it has like a little swirly thing at the end of it. It's like a GI Joe Mud Fighter thing. I have that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
We have the bones of the Rolling Thunder. We don't have the complete Rolling Thunder, but I had the Rolling Thunder, and the spine of that is still in that toy box. So yeah.
See, I'm glad I'm not the only one because everyone makes fun of me because they're like, oh my God, you still have your stuff. And it's like, it's the only stuff that I still have. I don't know why I don't have my other stuff, but the G.I. Joe stuff was obviously number one for me, and it's what I wanted to keep. And I guess my dad made sure, but I don't think he got rid of anything. I think I eventually got rid of it. I just don't remember, which is crazy because even though I wasn't like huge Motu and Transformers, I still had a lot.
Yeah.
I still had a lot, but it's like, where the hell is it all at? So,
yeah. Or how does this stuff end up missing? I guess in between movies or something.
There is some G.I. Joe stuff that drive me nuts that I know that I no longer have, and I'm like, this piece I had for like 20 years from place to place or move to move, but now it's just gone. How does it just magically disappear?
I have no idea. I bought a Blaster Hawk for a friend of mine who's really big into Motu, and it was so hard to find a complete set that I basically got like an incomplete set and then got the other accessories from someone who was just selling them loose. So you'll be amazed what you can find loose, how rare it is to find something complete, and then how justifiably expensive to be like, yeah, you want it? I'm like one of 3 people who have the complete thing. It's like, well, good for you because no one has a complete anything.
Yeah, it was easier to get stuff complete 10 years ago. And I should have when I was just like, I just want the figures. I don't care about the weapons. And now I regret not buying the O-Ring Joe's complete. Like I didn't buy a complete Firefly. I just bought the backpack. He had the backpack in his submachine gun. Doesn't have the piece that goes on the backpack. It doesn't have his walkie-talkie or phone or whatever it is. Well, yeah, go look at the prices of those.
Yeah.
Back then I could have bought it, and I was just trying to save some money, but you're like, all right, well, it's kind of stupid now when you look back at it. So if you can acquire, unless if you're buying huge lots where you just have part after part after part, just buy something complete. Spend a little bit of extra money if you care that much about it, and do that. So you had everything mixed. Do you remember? And did you have like a favorite line? Something that, like, above all else, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to play with.
Like I said, it was eras, right? So it's crazy. As much as I was a Star Wars fan, it wasn't the Star Wars toys. Like, I just loved the movies. I didn't really care about the toys until the toys got that much better, right? Joe's. I loved watching the show. I loved watching the movie. I would watch the movie over and over again. I loved the figures, right? But that was a different era. And then I would say my last era of toys, Power Rangers. I was insane about Power Rangers. I still love Power Rangers. I still love, because like even before Power Rangers, like I loved Ultraman, and they made a big push for Ultraman before Power Rangers. So Ultraman would come on, and whatever the big Ultraman show at the time was in the early 90s. This is before Power Rangers. They also showed that too. So I loved watching that Ultraman show. And then when Power Rangers came out, I was like, this is awesome. This is like Voltron meets Ultraman. And then they had Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which was the Americanized version of Gridman, which was made by the same people who made Ultraman. But I had like the small Power Rangers, the big Power Rangers. I mowed lawns. I raked leaves. I just saved up as much money as I could, sold fruit, and I got them. I got them all. I stopped around the movie. I got like the Falcon Zord, but I didn't get any of the movie chrome. And they were so cool. They were so chromed out. I kept waiting for the chrome Power Rangers to show up in Lightning Collection. They made them metallic, but it wasn't like the movie sculpt. Someone's doing third-party movie Power Rangers, and I gotta track those down. I think they were 1/6 scale though, but it was Power Rangers was like the end of it. But the core of it was G.I. Joe, mad love for Masters of the Universe, love watching the show, love the movie, hated the new Deke series, like hated it. I hated the new Adventures of He-Man. That was like the first thing I learned to hate.
It was not good.
And the Deke Joe series started out strong. Operation Dragonfire is a valid sequel to G.I. Joe the movie, like with Scoop and all that shit, and Cobra Commander reconstituting as a man, all that stuff. But I didn't stay with the Deke years. But yeah, it was Joe / Masters of the Universe, my teenage years, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then puberty hit.
I'm glad you transitioned perfectly into that. So as we all get older, many of us continue to collect toys. Most of us don't, but some do, and some do in secret. Were you one that, as you got into middle school and in high school, continued to collect? Did you transfer? No. I find a lot of people switch over to comic books because it's still collecting. You can hide it, and it's not as nerdy because it's actually reading.
I switched over to video games. So think Super Nintendo, think PlayStation, think Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 blew a lot of our minds. I would go to my brother's house and play Mario 64. He would throw me out of his apartment. Or I would go to my friend's house. We would esport, right? Because like you would watch your friends play Metal Gear Solid. You would watch them play Final Fantasy 7. It was crazy, but it was great. It was like, yeah, man, we're gonna play. I'm on my way. No, I don't have to play. I don't know how to play. You play. Like that kind of stuff. We just watched. And then GoldenEye, screen watching, come on, man. Like it was over. WCW NWO Revenge, like Mario Kart, the original Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, then Mario Kart 64. So a lot of it was video games. And I would say, like, even in the 90s and the early aughts, like, you had nerd girls too. You had girls that liked Sailor Moon. You had girls that could game. So I don't know where this thing where girls don't do this shit. It's like, who told you that?
Well,
like, I always was in good with the nerd girls, man. Those are good girls. Hell yeah. Like, what are y'all talking about?
I can tell you just the 7-year age difference between us. Late 80s, early 90s, like skateboarding, which became super popular, like no one did that. I was the last, and 2,700 kids in my school, I was the only skateboarder my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the X Games came, you got the popularity.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I go to the skate parks now, and you see all these, and I don't want to say hottie girls because they're little girls, but these cute little girls that are hanging out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are welcome. We paid all this for you. But where the hell was this when I was 17, 18, 19 years old?
Yeah.
And I think toys are the same way. Like, as the movies got more as the movies became popular and became decent, you started to see athletes that collected toys and were into superheroes. I don't remember girls being gamers though. I mean, I know now there are, but it's pretty big. It's like I was born 10 years early for what I do. I wouldn't change anything because the amount of abuse that I put on my body from skateboarding, and I watched it change, and I love that I got to see it change to what it is today. But it would have been nice to have, a little bit of that action. So you didn't collect toys at all? You just kind of...
Yeah, it just stopped, and it wasn't. But I remember I was still protecting my toys. So sometimes, like my little cousins would be playing with my Power Rangers Zords, and they would be mashing the hell out. I'm like, get your hands off of that, that kind of stuff. Here's video games. Here's a Game Boy. Do that, that kind of stuff. Like I had to transition them to video games just to keep my toys safe, basically. Oh yeah, shout out to the chat, man. Y'all know what time it is, man. Some good. Yeah, holla at NBA Jams, in-time toys, yeah, all that.
Chat's going fast right now. I think there was such a difference in that small period, and I talked to a lot of my friends that skateboard now, and they're in their 20s, and when I met them, when I started skating 8 years ago, I'm talking to them how things were, and they're like, I don't know what type of people you're talking about that are still, wondering why you still skateboard at your age, and it's like, you understand. When I was young skating, the old guys were Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's only like 7 years older than me. That's not really that big of a difference. But now you have guys that are in their 60s that are still skating. So when these other guys hit 40, 50, 60, it's just like playing pickup basketball. No one thinks about it. You're just rolling around. No one blinks an eye when someone says they play pickup hockey.
Yeah.
And it's like, have you seen that? That's pretty damn dangerous too. All right, you literally gave people 2 knives on their feet and sticks as weapons, and said, "Go." Oh, on ice too.
Hobby's a hobby.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think with sports cards and stuff like that, people started realizing sports cards are just as dorky as action figures.
I mean, any passion, you can call it, nerdism, nerditry, or whatever. But it's like sports nerds, wrestling nerds, right? Like, if you're really into something to the point where not necessarily an expert, but more than an enthusiast, right? You can call it being a geek. You can call it being a nerd. And I feel like the derision component of calling someone a nerd, it comes from people who don't love anything like that. And they're jealous, and they had to find a way to like hurt you over it because they don't have that, and so they're going to take it out on you. Well, that's on them. That's on them that they don't have anything they can't love like that.
I've always said about skateboarding, I can't tell you why I love skateboarding. I can't. And I can't explain to you how much I love it. But I hope that everyone has something they love as much as I love that, because it gave me such pure enjoyment. And it did so much for me. I mean, it's also done a lot of damage to me, but that's a whole nother story. And that's something, I will take, I will accept that. Because it comes with the territory. So But as you get into high school, um, what else did you do other than games? Did you get into sports at all?
I was in marching band, so I played a little bit of basketball,
Okay,
and I'm a team player. Like the competitive side of me is a very nasty side, and I never enjoyed it because it was like not just winning; it was like kneecapping and hamstringing my opponents. It was like defeating my opponents. I was like, I don't like being this, right? That kind of thing, right? Like I played a little bit of football. I put someone on their ass, and I felt horrible, and I stopped. Like so it was marching band because it's about collaboration. It's about the music. Even though we would still win competitions, so we would still beat other marching bands. I played tuba. I was a tuba captain. So it was like a lot of music, and that for a long time was my real drive. I am surprised I didn't end up being a professional musician. Now that I think about it, because I was always in band, I was always playing and marching and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it the other day. I'm a very competitive person, but I don't allow myself. And I said I think skateboarding was perfect for me because I was competitive against myself.
Hmm.
This whole YouTube thing, it's not about me being bigger or better than someone else. It's about me being better every time that I do a show. It's not gonna. I mean, you can't be better every time, but
Right.
the strive to be better. Where I don't like if your channel gets bigger than mine. That's that's no big deal. I'm competing against myself,
Right.
and it's
Right.
my job to keep people coming back to watch me, not to get people not to watch you.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I was a bigger person, I mean physically bigger and played sports, I would be that guy that would be better. I would be. I mean, I'm a pretty rational person and low key. My daughter was just telling me the other day. Um, but yeah, I might be one of those people that well, you hear about what happens at the bottom of a scrum in a football game and in the pros. It's not always nice.
But I'll say this, and I think all athletes go through this because we all have a relationship with Father Time. But if you're
No,
athletic, even semi athletic, you have a different relationship because the thing that you made your fortune with, or was your bread and butter, or was, for people who go pro, they're a big contribution to culture and society. Some people age, some people grow old, but when it comes to athletics, dancers, performers, Father Time strips something from you. It robs you of something.
it
You feel
does.
it even more, and it's even more intense. I have relatives who played professionally, who played basketball and whatnot, and now they're in their 50s, and they have a different relationship with their body, and they have to put in work and effort that relationship isn't drenched in resentment and bitterness, right? Because
You
it's Father Time is undefeated.
When I started skating again, the hardest part was accepting that I can never do certain things again.
Yeah.
Things that were super easy for me, I have to struggle and fight for. Other things, I could probably do it because I know how to do it, but the risk reward factor isn't there. I have to wake up and go to my career, pay my mortgage, pay my child support, all that stuff. But that's been the hardest part is that accepting certain things I can and will never do again as much as I want to. Luckily for me, I can go to a skate park and as I meet people, I love helping the younger kids. To me, it's just as much enjoyment because I'm never going to be able to do stuff again. But there was this one kid, redheaded kid, a couple years ago. I'm at the skate park and he's kind of talking with me and I'm looking at his board. He's trying to ollie up this little pad, right? Little mani pad. And I said, and I go, can I see your board for a second? And it's waterlogged. He doesn't even know he knows where he got it, but he doesn't know what it is. And I go, why don't you try that with my board? And he goes, are you sure? What if something happens? I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, if I haven't broken it yet, I don't need to worry. And if you chip it, I'm the one to let you. And like third or fourth try, he ollies up it. His face just changed, right? he lit up. And he came back. I'm like, I'm done. You can ride a little bit longer. He rode it for probably another 15, 20 minutes. He comes back. He's talking to me. I told him, hey, you know what? You can get some cheap boards here, like good boards. You know, I see him like 2 years later. Kid comes running up to me. He's like, thank you so much. Like, he goes, I went and got a board that weekend, and I just can't stop doing it. And I still see him at the parks now. And it's like, I see that kid. I'm like, because of me, that kid is still skating. That kid could have walked away and been like, this is what every skateboarder is like. These things suck. But they're not, you know? So that whole, like you said, that relationship with not being able to be athletic, especially in team sports. You know, the dancers, you can continue to do it. You know what you can't do.
Yeah.
Gymnasts, if you can find a gymnastics place that has adults, you can do it. Skateboarding, but you can't do it in football. Just pick up basketball. Basketball is the easier one, I think, to do because you just show up at a court and there's always people.
Yeah. There's some OGs that are still balling in the street.
Yeah, but no one's playing football. There's no 50-year-olds going to play football.
Wasn't the plot point in Any Given Sunday that LT's character was like too old and he like almost dies in the field? Or
Oh, I know this is going to shock some people. I've never seen Any Given Sunday.
Okay.
It's not Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know it's not Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
All right. So let's address the room.
Right.
You said that you were in band.
Yeah.
And you played some basketball because people wanted you to play basketball. We all saw the Office episode that Michael wanted the one black guy to play because he figured he's black, he can play basketball.
I haven't watched The Office.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's so good.
So there you go. I've seen clips, but
Yes.
that's it. And memes, the guy dropping the pot of chili or
Yes.
that kind of stuff. Like,
And that's the guy he didn't want, and that guy can actually shoot in real life. And
all right.
at the end of the episode, you see him like firing, and he's like making like every single shot.
Nice. Shout out to Brian Bumgardner.
Yes. I couldn't think of their names. But why did they want you to play basketball?
Let's see. Before junior high, my dad coached junior league, and because he didn't want me to be like nepotism or anything like that, he didn't tell me. Like, I found out from other kids that my dad was doing it. I'm like, why do you not have me on this team? Right? So it became like Disney movie plot very fast. Like, I joined the team, but he's only on the team because his dad's coaching. And it was like, oh yeah, and I had to like prove that I was good outside of my dad coaching and whatnot. It didn't matter that the coach was my dad, but because the coach was my dad, there was hella even more pressure. And then I played for a second in 8th grade, and I was like, nah, I don't want to play. Like, I'd rather just watch X-Files, that kind of thing. Like, it's because, like I said, nasty. My coach in 8th grade was like, Johnson, just look at their center of mass. Don't look at the basketball. Just look in their center of mass. And I would do that, and I would psych out so many kids that were so much better than me, man. It's like, this kid is better than me. Why doesn't he move? And then I would get the ball, and then I would immediately pass the ball. And they'd be like, good work, Johnson. I'm like, I don't want this. You take it. Like,
So you addressed earlier how tall you are.
yeah.
Now, Tony had told me that you're tall. I didn't
Yes.
realize. Were you tall in middle school and
Yes.
high school?
Yes, I am 6'6". I had always been tall. I would have to, like I would be at a college because I would like at Durham. You can go to Duke, you can go to UNC, and you can do like research and stuff. So people would think I was in college. I was in high school, right? There were times where I would have to like let ladies know, sorry, miss, I'm underage. But because of that, I knew I would not have a problem once I got into college, and I didn't. And basically, it's just tall people problems, stub toes, banged kneecaps, that kind of stuff. I would make fast friends with security because I could actually watch myself and handle myself. And there would be a couple of times where if I was at a regular and I knew the security, if shit went down, I would kind of help out the security sometimes. So that was interesting. I can't do that now. I'm old. basically, yeah, me and cops never got along because even though I was, you know, a very bright person, very polite person, and whatnot, down the street, I'm still a threat. Still a threat. So I spent so much of my life like trying to ameliorate that threat. And like now I kind of don't bother. Time has done that for me. But at the time, I had to be careful because just my presence alone, more times than I like to recall, was a threat to a police officer who was just looking for an excuse to be cowardly.
I mean,
Don't let me get too deep on this, man. Don't let me get too deep.
No. I know. I've had, my best friend, or one of my best friends growing up, the guy I skate with, he's mixed, and he said, you know what? And seriously, one of the brightest people you ever meet. And he's like, when you get pulled over because, you're black, you're driving a BMW in a nice neighborhood, that's, profiling. But again, you ain't saying every cop is like that. But we'll leave it at that because I'm not getting into politics.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into politics. Being a cop sucks. It's a sucky job.
Yes, it does.
It is a sucky job. Yeah.
It does because unfortunately you have people that are out to get you.
Yeah.
No. But yeah. Now, Shark Guys asked what position you played. I don't think
I played center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he was paying
Rebounds,
attention fully
blocks,
that you didn't really play all that much because you were.
No. I played for my dad. I played a little bit in 8th grade, and then I got out. Like I said, it was like I didn't like what it was doing. I didn't like. I wasn't having fun. And because of that, it was like nah. I just like my cousin Jamal played for the NBA, and he would be exhausted. He didn't like what he was doing. I didn't want to end up like that.
So did your dad have an issue that you didn't want to play when he was coaching? Or did
No. By the time I proved myself, everything was smooth. I got along great with the teammates. Like I said, pure Disney movie. Like that shit was a Disney movie. And our team were the Jordans. We called ourselves the Jordans. So I was like, if I had an excuse to collect anything, it was like a sneakerhead to be collecting as many Jordans as I could. but I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. The Jordans. All right, so you go through high school, graduate. Did you go off on to college?
I did. I was a physics major and I got a full scholarship. Went into film school instead, took on student loans that I'm still paying now. But at the time, I was in physics and I loved it, but I loved film more and I shot with friends. I shot weddings. I shot graduation videos. I shot music videos. And I would shoot videos like in the clubs or like fashion shows or like, hey, get the club hype. And I would shoot B-roll and that they would then edit, for ads on the early internet, that kind of shit. And I put together a missions tape and then I got into film school. But before that, I was in physics. And I'm proud of my time in physics. I loved it. It was so busy, it kept me from marching in college. And I went to Florida A&M University. So if you're black and you know what that is, they had the ultimate marching band. And I gave that up. Like if I have one big regret, my life would have been totally different if I marched in Florida A&M. But I was still there at the right time. I was in Florida A&M from 2000 to 2006, which was prime Southern hip-hop territory. You walk on the college campus, it was like being in a hip-hop music video. I got into trouble. I had to get myself out of trouble. But it was fun, and those were the days, man. It was awesome. I am not coming to Joe Fest. I am broke as fuck.
Yeah, he must have missed. He must have missed where you just said that you have all the student loans you're still paying back because you're in film school.
Yeah. Like I tried that save plan. Like you can consolidate and you can try for it, it still is a better plan than what I had before, but I was not able to get forgiveness. But I'm still able to just make payments off of that stuff. I sell the figs, man. I'm selling stuff. Like I'm reviewing stuff now again for the channel, but then selling it. So some of the video clips you can put on the eBay page and be like, as reviewed on Black Genghis YouTube. My eBay store is Black Genghis. Like once I start putting shit back up, holler at me. But yeah, man. So it's rough still being a collector. I have to be really choosy and picky. So but that's what brought me out to LA. I was in the industry for a little bit, and then I ended up in IT. But before all that, going to Florida A&M was a lot of fun. And like I said, I was there with other nerds. Those were the GameCube days. Those were the Dreamcast days. And yeah,
That was
man,
just
like,
brought up too on with Radnam, I think last week.
yeah.
We were talking about the game or the Jaguar and
Yeah, all that stuff, you know, like I think by the time I went from Florida A&M physics to film school, and film school was at Florida State University, that was like the Wii years. So Wii Sports and Rock Band and all that shit, Guitar Hero, like that was the big stuff, the party games and whatnot.
that was way after my time. But I gotta say, the whole Wii Sports and everything, as stupid as it sounded when it first came out, you're absolutely right. That is something you could play at a party, and no one thought it was nerdy. You could play it as a family.
Yeah.
I remember we had Wii bowling here, and I came upstairs here, and my ex was like, "You're up," and I just rolled from upstairs, and it was downstairs, and she's like, "You got to strike," which shows that it just all had to do with however your wrist was.
yeah. That's cool.
All right, so you go to college. You, I would assume, graduate,
Yeah.
but you didn't go into what?
I didn't go into physics because of two things. So in physics, you have what's known as a principal investigator, a PI. And so that's the person that you work with, that you draft papers with, that you do lab research with. I worked in material science, photovoltaics, substrates, solar cells. A lot of the solar cell technology now, I worked on iterations of it, for years. And my PI gets into a car accident, survives. She's fine. 2 casts, broken wrists. So as her assistant, not postdoc, but basically like the post-bachelor's version of that, I became an adjunct professor. So at age 20, I was teaching a full lecture with recitation and lab and office hours. So I'm 20 years old with a bachelor's, and I have to like trick these kids into listening to me. I was wearing contacts, and then I switched to glasses and kind of never went back since. I let my facial hair grow out, and I spoke at the lowest possible register so that people didn't realize how young I was when I was teaching them. So I'm bespectacled, bearded, low talking, tall person. And my students were like, "Mr. Johnson, how old are you?" And I was like, "Old enough to make everyone take out a piece of paper and a pencil because Keisha keeps asking questions." Like that's how. But with HBCUs, funding is always a problem, and it takes a lot of support from the community to get things done. I spent 2 full semesters without pay, and it was so hard. When I was buying everything from dry erase markers, lab supplies, to hand soap in the bathrooms, and I was like, I can't do this. If I'm going to work this hard, it's going to be for something I want to do, and that was film. I put in the application to the film school. I got in, and for 2 years, it changed my life.
So did you? So you went to film school. Now, is that what you pursued right after?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the story about what got me out of production. But at the time, we had student films. We worked on each other's student films. It was a magical time. I'm proud of the student work I did. I was able to learn a lot as far as like cinematography goes, screenwriting goes, working with actors, working with your crew, because you have to direct them almost like you're directing actors. And we got a lot done, and we were able to pull off a lot. So when I moved out here to LA, I moved with a complete network. Living in Los Angeles is hard, it's difficult. And a lot of my friends were homesick, or they went back home because of family issues, or they just ran out of money. I lucked out. A lot of LA and in the industry, it's luck. It is luck. It's not just about skill. There's plenty of skillful people here. It's not about talent. There's plenty of talented people. Luck. If you are unlucky, if you keep making the wrong connections, and you keep wasting your time with the wrong people who drain you, and you keep wasting your time on the wrong projects. One time I spent 6 weeks editing a spinal surgeon conference. The video ended up being 4 hours long. I only got paid $600. I did a web series for Funny or Die for free. Never edit for free. Never edit for free.
Well, I love that you're talking about this because this is what my son wants to do.
All right.
So that's why we're going to be doing this toy store series that I'm working on.
All right.
And I mean, I'm going to have you eventually talk to him. Just
tell your son to edit what he loves. I would download full episodes from like YouTube and just re-edit them. I would edit like trailers together. Like
that's what he was that he was doing that before, and like I just had to order all the stuff, and I'm hoping my biggest thing is like, hey, we do these toy stores in this area. Hopefully, we can go out to like New Jersey, even Ohio because it's so close, Indiana, like. Talk to some of them, reach out to them, go film it, and you're only going to make so much money on YouTube, being monetized. But my hope is that he can use that as his resume. He can reach out to other people, and show. Not only does he have the school resume that he like stuff that he did at school, but now he has the stuff that he's done on the side, and he loves doing it. I told him, from what I understand, everyone hates editing. You love it. Mm-hmm. He's like, editing's awesome. I'm like, yeah, everyone hates it. Like, everyone's like, editing is the worst part of the thing that I have to do.
There's nothing more satisfying than having something in your mind, knowing how you want it to play out, and then making it play out that way. And even though as directors, you can get the building blocks together, as an editor, that's the stuff that puts it together. Some of the best directors are editors. James Cameron. George Lucas is an editor. Michael Bay is an editor, as crazy as coked out he can get sometimes. Tell your son not to do coke. But the point is, the Invisible Art by Walter Murch. If he's really serious about it, if he wants to break it down to basics and focus on fundamentals, The Invisible Art by Walter Murch. Walter Murch was Coppola's editor, edited for George Lucas, right? We're talking Godfather. We're talking like the classics. The Invisible Art, Walter Murch. Your son reads that, he will never have a problem finding editing work.
All right, I'm gonna have you send that over to me.
I'll send it to you right now. But go ahead.
But yeah, no, like it's just one of the. He enjoys doing it. It's getting the motivation. But I'll tell you what, working with him, like because we filmed too, and again we're just filming these toy stores, and then talking to the owners. He was like, no, like we can't do it here because the way the lights come. And I'm just like, I didn't realize you understood. He's like, everyone knows this. I'm like, no, they don't. That's the whole thing. Like you have this idea for nothing to do with the toys, to just how things should be and how we're walking around the store and how, okay, you're going to walk in and then I'm going to be here, but then I need you to walk. I'm like, you're directing everything. Like you're really directing it. Yeah, it's just a little thing, but it's like every time you go on a job interview, you need to take something away from it.
Yeah.
Now I can say that when I haven't been on a job interview in 23 years.
Yeah.
But that is very interesting and fascinating. And yeah, there's so many people that are doing stuff like this. And
by the way, I had a brain fart, Mandela effect. In the blink of an eye is what it's called.
Okay.
In the blink of an eye. That's what that is.
Anyway, so how long did you stay in? Because you're not in it anymore, correct?
No, I was working a lot in reality television. I moved out in the worst possible time. So early 2009, right after the writer's strike. Very hard to get into the room. Very hard to work on features, on narrative television. So it was reality. Reality kept a lot of people fed. I worked with the same people who did Ice Road Truckers, the first 48.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
I watched so much of the first 48 on YouTube. during the day because I hit it. I don't have to watch it. I can just listen to it.
Yeah, yeah.
I watch so much of it.
Yeah, and it's like perfect like background music. But like
Yeah.
I would talk with the editors and like putting that stuff together. Reality TV is not reality. It
Oh,
is fake as hell. We would fabricate shit all the time. I basically earned an assistant producer credit on one show that was like a prison police show, and we had infighting. A group of Crips were having like a civil war, and I was like, we don't have time to educate people on the strata of Crips. So it's just blood and Crips. So tell this guy to say that they're Bloods, and then that's it. That's the whole episode. And then the episode became Bloods versus Crips. They're all in the same prison clothes, so you don't have
you can't know. You don't.
Yeah. And so like so we would fabricate stuff all the time. There was one show I loved. It was about diplomatic, the DSS, the diplomatic service, basically.
Okay.
And those guys, they're intense, man. Like they come from all over. So some were Marines, some were SEALs, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. No.
Well, I knew the Kardashians were a myth. No, the sad thing is they're not a myth. They're there. And you know who we have to blame? OJ.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can get famous for fame's sake.
Yep.
And like Warhol knew that. And the thing is, you can keep giving your power to these people or not. Like I don't pay any attention to that stuff. And I know people who desperately wanted to be that. And that was kind of a reason that I fell out of it. Like I got burned out. Just focusing on all this stuff. And it got extremely unrewarding. So IT was stable. I liked the people I was meeting in IT, that they were still nerds, they were still creative, and they weren't necessarily in the industry. I got comfortable. And now I'm at a part in my life where I'm kind of embracing discomfort because you kind of have to push yourself. The Black Genghis Project's a big part of that. You still need support. So, so shout out to you, shout out to Ryan, shout out to Tony, shout out to Ken. Definitely shout out to all my homies that are Toy Kind of Mood. They've been so supportive. Travis, Body, Spec, Zen, Baldy Locks reviews. I'm uncomfortable as hell. I wake up uncomfortable. And it's like, I'm going to climb this mountain. I'm going to bite off more than I'm going to chew. And then I'm going to chew it. Right? It's like.
You really uncomfortable being live? Like,
hell yeah. Yeah, man. It's like people looking up my nose. Hey, yo, welcome to Black Genghis Live. What's going on with you? Hey, what's going on? Like, it's like I'm not blurring this stuff behind me. It's like, it's really what you see is what you get. And it can be nerve-wracking being that transparent in front of all these people, even though people appreciate it and they enjoy the show. I have, people who tune in every time I go up, and I can't go up every week because I have other things I'm working on. I'm a screenwriter. I still help out and pitch in on other channels. Like I'm working on next week's show. I'm working on the show after that. Like I'm working on that stuff now, right? But I still have to balance everything with work. Like I told you, like just a few minutes before we went on, I was still working on the day gig. Like I had I put on the brakes because it's like, yeah, I have to have a work-life balance. I have to do other things. So it can be like that. I don't have a character I can hide behind. Like if I'm like talking about Mask and Exo Squad and no one gives a shit, I'm just gonna have to live with that and be like, hey, well, at least I'm proud of that episode. If I have an episode that only has 40 or 50 views, and with Toy Kind of Mood, we had those episodes where no one gave a damn, but we had fun. And some of my favorite episodes were that, where we were just talking about the stuff that we wanted to talk about.
No, and again, that's something that we all. I mean, I don't think I've ever really been nervous going on. Sometimes I don't want to, but that's just me, Sometimes I don't want to. Normally, once the camera goes on, it's a completely different. I'm up. I'm ready to go. But that's just me. I've never, that nervousness, never been something that's really in me. A lot of people, I think even Tony said he had kind of had the same feelings. And I know a lot of people do. And, I know I've said this numerous times. Nick Nimmin, one of the people I listen to, he's, when people ask the question, like, how do you get over going on? He's like, you know what? Everyone, like what you're saying, what, what, what people are seeing and the way you're talking is how everyone sees you every single day. So the best thing to do, and you've already done this, so you're already doing live. So it's not like I'm convincing you to go live or do anything. He said, just do it. Get it out of the way and understand what you're seeing that you don't like. And I don't like hearing my voice. It's awful. All right. I don't have a radio voice. All right. I don't have a deep voice. I'm not Bees Battleground. I don't have that bellowing voice that smokes six packs of cigarettes a day. But no, I think it's again, I think it's awesome. But we're gonna get into all of that. But let's get into your toys. Like, when did you start becoming a toy collector again? Like, when did you?
So, once again, it's a two-parter. So, part of it was I was working with Red Carpet Report and a couple of other sites at the time. I was writing film reviews, and sometimes I would cover nerd events. I would cover E3. I would cover Comic-Con, and that was awesome. And you had these exclusives, and it was like that culture that would get you back to it. Shout out to everyone in the chat, man. Shout out to Largo's Lair. Shout out to Toyomic. Shout out to Toy Kind of Mood. All you guys, man. DJ, yeah. Where is it? I got it. Where is it? Hold on a second. That's one of my key mantras for Black Genghis. Let's just rock what I got. When I'm making customs, or I'm doing kit bashes, or I'm doing dioramas, like that kind of stuff. All right. Sorry about that. Like, I saw that. I saw Toyomic said that. So anyway, it was the Comic-Con culture that kind of got it back to me. My boss at the time, super cool dude, he would smuggle Yingling from back east. He'd be like, yo, want a Yingling? Like, hell yeah, I want a Yingling. But anyway, he was like, hey, you're going to Comic-Con? Because I would take time off of work. He's like, you're going to Comic-Con? I'm like, yeah. All right. Hey, get me these Motusals. Like, what? Remember Muscle? Like, yeah. All right, these are Motusals. These are like Masters of the Universe USCLE. Like, what? So I got those. Another friend of mine is like, hey, man, you like My Little Pony? I was like, My Little Pony? Yeah, man, I'm a brony. What the fuck's a brony? Look, man, forget it. Get me this LA Dodgers My Little Pony. I'm like, okay. And so I got it.
Oh, a brony?
You don't know what a brony is?
No.
A brony is like a male fan of My Little Pony.
I know.
Yeah, bronies are real. And My Little Pony, it's a fun show. It's a great show. It's a great show.
I never watched My Little Pony, but many know my stories about the Care Bears. So
right.
I believe me, I'm not making fun of anyone, because my ex was like, why do you know so much about the Care Bears? I'm like, what are you talking about? Care a lot?
Hey, man, I'm a Care Bear cousin. I'm a Care Bear cousin, man.
Care Bear cousins?
Yeah.
They live in the clouds?
Yeah. So anyway, like people they would want stuff. They would be like, let me get this Monster Hunter belt buckle. Let me get this and that. I would stand in line. I would meet people in line because there's these long ass lines for exclusives. There was this one girl, I wasn't trying to get anything. She was just really cute. But she was standing in line for a Nightmare Before Christmas Monopoly exclusive. And we would just talk about like Nightmare Before Christmas. I didn't get the digits, but it was worth a shot. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something going on. There's something in the water. So think back to Star Wars Force Awakens. Think back to like this stuff.
Trying not to think back to that.
I like Force Awakens.
Force Awakens is watchable.
Okay. But the point is, nerd culture was building back up. Marvel, the MCU, all this shit, right? So stuff was coming back. And like even after like the Transformers, the Bayformers movies hit big and all that shit, like stuff was on the way back. Like before this pandemic nonsense, like if we still would have gotten Disney Plus. We still would have gotten this stuff. The pandemic really, made streaming blow up. So like it made Squid Game a moment, it made Wednesday a moment, and Tiger King and all this shit. Stranger Things, we're all stuck and we just need something. But So that's really where the nerd culture came back in. But I was still getting back into it before lockdown. So the first toy hunt I went on, there was a friend of mine at work, Danny, loved Star Wars. At Galaxy's Edge. So before I was collecting anything else, I was collecting lightsabers. I was collecting, hold on a second. Trying not to destroy everything. I was collecting lightsabers, bro. Right? So like here's like from Galaxy's Edge, Disneyland, you got
my
Disney
son
World.
has one. Yep.
Yeah. The Darth Maul lightsaber. Like I put up my Darth Maul lightsaber on Instagram and people want to see that. Not cheap. And I was looking at the Force Effects Black Series lightsabers. So that's really like what that was. I had stuff around the office. I had like the Infinity Gauntlet. I had the Start Gauntlet. I had the Vintage Collection X-Wing, and you had to buy Luke and R2-D2 separate. I had the TIE Fighter. One of my friends is a big Star Wars fan, so I got him a Shattered Glass Masterpiece Optimus Prime that was half price on Big Bag Toy Store. That's the first thing I bought on Big Bag Toy Store. We went to a Paracon. So Paracon was in California for the longest time.
Yeah.
And so I would go. My friend talked me out of buying a Motu Classics Falcon Raider and Point Dread, but it was the classic scale because I was like that because I wanted the original one as a kid, and I was a window shopper. So by the time that you had Collectors Club and Rise of Cobra, Pursuit of Cobra, Resolute, I was broke as hell. I wasn't buying any of that stuff. I wasn't buying DX Chogokin Robotech. I wasn't buying this or that. Sideshow Joes. Like the Sideshow Joes were big. And I would just like fantasize about getting that stuff or getting MCU Hot Toys and shit. Like I was a window shopper. Got a promotion, and that's really when the collecting started. And then the pandemic happened. So once the pandemic happened, there's little things here and there, like Star Trek, Eagle Moss. One time for Eagle Moss, rest in peace. But I was getting those starships because I liked the Picard show. And the Picard show was like the first season was right when COVID was like emerging. I remember being sick one night. And I'm like, oh my fuck, this is COVID. This is fucking COVID. And I went to the doctor, and it turned out it was just a flu. I was never so relieved to have the flu ever. I was like, because like I was so scared. I was like, please don't let me wake up with a lung full of glass, and like, please don't let me not wake up. You know, like it was a scary time. So I got better, and I was like, man, forget this. I'm gonna do what I want to do. So it was like, you know, I'm Black Genghis. I won't front, man. I was getting black action figures. So I was getting Shuri. You know, we still had Chadwick, God rest his soul. He was with us. So I was getting the Black Panther stuff. And that was what started my Legends collection. And War Machine, that kind of stuff. And lo and behold, there was the Sarge promo for Valaverse. And I was like, yo, they're going to do a Sarge thing? And then someone else was like, yeah, they're going to do G.I. Joe. Like, what? So I missed out on the Snake Eyes Deluxe. But I was like, let me go ahead and get the rest of these Joes for Sarge. Like, I didn't really give a damn about classified series. I was going to get the Sarge figure, and then I was going to get these Joes to go with Sarge. So that's what it was. I was technically on that before Classified. But once Classified launched, and you start getting the figures in hand, I got the first wave from GameStop, and this was early days. So people weren't really buying that first wave. I got that entire first wave like half off. And I got them, and I fell in love with them. I was like using my other Marvel Legend weapons with them. I was like joining Facebook groups. I met Travis Moody, Toy Hunting Baroness, and I'll be talking about that later next week. And then. So I was helping people. I was helping friends because I would get up early because of work, and I would be at Target before everyone else. I was wearing my mask. I was like riding the bus, riding with COVID. I was like, not that I had COVID, but it was like I was like imagining there was just a giant coronavirus sitting like across the aisle from me. So it meant hunting down the red ninjas. it meant hunting down beachhead, cobra troopers, and I would help out friends who helped me out. And one thing led to another. I started doing shows with Toy Kind of Mood, and then got in deep with them. But by that time, I started collecting everything because it was like this stuff is like really good. And I was doing my research, and I was like, oh, this stuff has gotten better because I missed out all the Toy Biz stuff and whatnot because of college and everything else. And the stuff was like really good. Like the Joes were good, and like seeing how long people have been waiting on 6-inch Joe, making their own customs of 6-inch Joes. And I knew about some of the 10-inch, the 3 3/4 customs, because like I said, window shopper, and like, oh, it would be nice if, right? So I knew about those customs and that skill. But I didn't realize that you had people like Corey Cantaloupe who was making customs and putting them on DeviantArt. Or you had people who, like Gil Tucker or Stronach, or any number of folks, good folks like Ray Murphy and whatnot, that were making their own customs. I found out about actually. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Tony, calm down. He said Ray Murphy. I know you get excited when you hear Ray Murphy, so calm down. All right. Go on.
And shout out to Gun Bunny. He said he had an extra 00.
Yeah,
I was able to get a deluxe Snake Eyes from when they brought it back on PulseCon. So thank you very much for that, man. That was super sweet of you. But I'm good, man.
That's how I got that Snake Eyes. I think it was either the second or third round.
Yeah, it was like a little damage. It was like a little damage in the corner, so it was like near mint. So that's why. But I was like, I'll take it. Yeah, shit, I don't care. Give me.
I wasn't collecting for that. Like I'm still not collecting for that.
All right.
I'm not collecting for like mint and box, like so.
Right. No, I'm an opener. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I've only had to pay. I only paid extra for. I've only paid more than MSRP for one figure, and that's Destro. I bought him on eBay for like $35. It's the only one. I've been very lucky and right place, right time. It's pretty.
I overpaid. Oh, huh?
I think it's really easy to get these figures once you know. Just listen. Hey, this is when they're going to drop the figures. All right.
But not everyone does, right? So I miss out. I miss out on McFarlane's all the time. I miss out on a lot of stuff, and sometimes you really want something, you'll pay. I did not overpay for this. I waited for the restock. It came back on Creations. I know you found it.
I saw it that one time, and it was only one. I'd never seen it again. And when you asked me, because it was right after I found it, I stopped at so many Walmarts, and I drive all day. So you have no idea how many Walmarts I went into looking for that stupid figure.
Well, I appreciate you, man. But I'm patient, and stuff shows up. Classified had a big restock back in 2021. People were able to get Beachhead and Cobra Troopers and whatever else. You got to be patient with this stuff. But if you're not on the edge, yeah, you have seconds to order this stuff, and then you have to wait years for it to show up. It's crazy. It's a harsh game. So I'm choosy. I have enough grails that I don't really sweat the small stuff. I keep my grails very close. Here's my break-in set, from reactions and whatnot. You have to appreciate what you have, because without gratitude and without appreciation, you're gonna keep chasing the next fucking thing. Just be glad about the shit you have. That's my advice for collectors.
I see Breaking. I think I'm Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, everyone. This is basically the Electric Boogaloo set.
But you know who was in that, right?
What, you're talking about Shabadoo Shrimp or what?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, where was he in that? Where was he in
So
that?
they're dancing in the park, and he has a singlet on, and he's just dancing back and forth like this. No lines. My buddies told me, and I'm like, bull crap. And we went, and he pulls it up, and he's like, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
All right, next time I watch, I gotta look up for that.
I believe I'm pretty sure it's the second one, but they're all dancing in the park, and you can't miss it. Like as soon as someone points it out,
yeah, it's just there.
It's not like maybe that's him. It's like nope, that Jean-Claude Van Damme right there.
That's cool.
Shark says at the Venice beach scene.
All right, yeah. I'll put it on. I'll watch it. I love Breaking 2. So there you go.
Breaking.
All right, cool. I will sub to your YouTube if you have a channel.
Um, I just break into Electric Boogaloo. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Just the name.
Yeah, it was the 80s. You could do shit like that. It was great. It was great. But as far as really getting serious about collecting, a lot of it was like the Facebook groups. You know, on Instagram, I did a little bit digi bashing, like with Masters of the Universe and whatnot. When I did the Project OG 13, which is like a style guide for how I would do the customs, that blew up. And so that really built a name for the channel, the brand on Instagram. And then I did the checklist. Now I'll talk about a lot about that next week. But that was just like getting to meet the people I was meeting made it worth it. You're always going to have malcontents, people who are black sheep, or they just want to cause trouble. But the good ones make it worth it. They make it worth staying in the community and being a part of the community. And you know when you meet those guys.
I've met so many good people.
Yeah.
So many good people, and then again going to PowerCon and meeting some of them in person. And I don't. Again, for me, I was telling you, before, and I've talked to Tony about it. Like, Joe Fest is about meeting these people that I have met. I don't care to meet the bigger YouTubers or the toy owners. Like, I don't care about that. I've made friends. But to actually meet them in person and hang out with them and no longer say, yeah, these are my YouTube friends. You say, these are my real friends. These are guys that I've met in real life. And hang out with them and have 5 days where you don't think about work, family, anything like that. Just let's hang out.
How deep can I get on here, Lawrence?
As deep as you want, man. I've had 2 people talk about suicide.
Oh my goodness.
So
all right. I suffer from anxiety and depression, and I haven't had to fight with ideation in a long time. But I'm very glad that I've been able to stabilize. But there were times where I had to fight against that as well. I had to look in the mirror and just talk myself out of that. It's real, and people aren't always as strong as you think. So if someone's on your mind, just call them up, because you never know what they're dealing with and what they're going through. Just talk with them. Like I had, a friend of mine on Facebook, and I won't say who, but a very good friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours. And on Facebook, I just told people just to check on your friends. That's all. And I think you know who I'm talking about, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you later.
Yeah. I probably will once you say it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let me go ahead and take it back to 2022. So it's G.I. Joe ARAH 40th anniversary. And I'm hosting, one of my first times hosting Toy Kind of Mood. Doesn't really go well because I'm still technically at work at the time. And I'm sort of like having static with one of the other co-hosts, Travis.
Shocker there.
Yeah.
Travis drove someone nuts. Crazy talk.
But the truth is, it was so bad that I had left the channel for months. I left it. I was like, I'm just not going to go back. I don't like this, because I kind of want to do my own thing. I'm just being real. So Comic-Con comes up, and I go by myself. Like I don't have the press pass with Toy Kind of Mood or anything like that. I know that they're there. I don't necessarily plan on running into them. And sure enough, I run into them, and I just buried a hatchet. Like, it's good to see Travis again. I get to meet Bobby for the first time. Met Steven for the first time. I met Mark Van Cannon of Gridiron Studios for the first time. And we just talked for hours. And it was like water under the bridge. The Joe panel opens up. We cover it, and then we get to talk with them. And it was awesome. It was a highlight. It was a highlight of the trip. It was amazing getting to talk directly with Lenny, with Emily, about the direction of it, just to show our appreciation. I went to Comic-Con for them. Like, Classified Series is my favorite line. I will do anything just to meet them in the flesh, shake their hand, and thank them. Being able to reconcile and make up with Travis and Bobby and everyone else was just frosting on the cake, right? And just squashing the beef. Then this Viper Island shit happens, where he plagiarizes our content, cuts us the fuck out of our own trip, of our own footage.
I'm sorry. I know. I don't blame you guys for being mad. You guys have every right to be mad and pissed. I still have to laugh that he just literally shrunk the fucking video and removed you guys because they were in the middle.
Yeah.
And I found you guys because of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Travis going on the full force, and at first I thought he was just being a whiny baby. But then when you see it, you realize, like, oh, and when you listen to what Viper Island said, saying, like, my people on the floor. But when you see the original footage, and then you see what he did, I'm just like, that takes a lot of work just to be like, I'm just going to eliminate them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why would
he
you do
get
that?
all
There's
he
no
had to do
reason
was just, and all you had to do was just credit at a toy kind of mood. Like, he didn't want credit, he didn't want competitors, he didn't want us to grow. He just stole from us. I'm like, how are people still watching this guy not knowing who he is?
I know.
So we went, we campaigned, we told YouTube, like, here's what this dude's using. And we got his video struck down. And we got the community behind us. And and that really helped blow up Toy Kind of Mood. We got subscribers, made a name for ourselves off of that. And I've been down with those guys, like this ever since. So that's what going to a Comic-Con, not like you'll get your content pirated and then you have to rally the community behind you versus this guy. But it was just cementing the friendship, basically.
Just again, everyone that's watching knows my issues with Viper Island.
Yeah,
I've done the research. I know now it's a big thing because a bigger group of guys got hit. So now
you got hit too. Yeah.
Oh, I got hit in either November or December, and I lost my channel. Or I lost my Instagram. I had to recreate it. I'm not gonna say no one cared, but no one outside of the group of people that we knew gave a shit. But now a bigger channel, a bigger group got hit, so they care. And that's great because people need to know what he's doing. Yeah. But here's something that some people may not realize. You guys got him a copyright strike. Hasbro got him a copyright strike. You get 3. You get 3 on YouTube. They don't go away.
Yeah. He paid for a lot of his subscribers. He has a lot of bots.
Yep. I did a whole stream, whole thing on that.
And I'm proud of the Black Genghis brand because I haven't paid for it, not yet. I don't think I have even maybe the checklist. The checklist, I thought about doing an ad budget. And if I was serious about this, I'd had ads, I would have merch, you have merch, like that kind of stuff, right? This is early days. So I'm glad I'm not buying subscribers. It's one thing to have a megaphone and be like, hey, look at this. I made this and it's dope and I want you to see it. It's another one to pay for subscribers.
Yep.
And bots.
Who
is this guy, man?
So I watch, and again, it's no secret to anyone that watches. I watch a lot of YouTubers that talk about how to. It's not. I say growing the channel. People think that's instantly like, oh, you just want to be some big YouTuber. It's not that. It's you grow your channel by giving better content to people. It's like when you work out, you get bigger muscles. End of story. It's a byproduct. And that might be a short dude. But people will ask them questions, and they're not taking money for it. It's not like it's not like you have to pay for them to ask. And one of the things that people have asked is, hey, we've thought about getting ads or doing. And he's like, you shouldn't do that, and here's the reason why. Until you know how to actually get someone's attention and bring them in, buying subs or buying ads so someone shows your YouTube channel, you haven't figured out how to grab their attention, how to get them and make them stay. So once you stop buying that, guess what? It ends. Now, if you're selling something that's completely different, like if Ken from the Toy Kind of Mood, if they paid money to have an ad for Delta 17, that is way different than him paying for an ad to show his, his channel or for reviews. Now, if he was paying, and him and I actually, if I remember correctly, had this conversation. If he actually paid to promote his history stuff, that I kind of understand too, because I mean, I don't think that I would do it, but that's a history on something. That is an actual video, just like a TV show.
Yeah.
And I guess it could be
Ken's
the same
stuff
way.
is well produced. Pardon the interruption. Ken's stuff is well produced.
Yes.
And that stuff's worth bolstering with an ad budget. But please continue.
And again, like I guess if I did, like, that's how I want our toy store to be. I don't want it to be just a walkthrough. It's going to be edited. It's not going to be. That's why my son is doing it all, right? I don't want it to be like my reviews. But if I was to pay people to like come in and check on my reviews, well, guess what? They have a shelf life of about 30 days. Then they're done. Now, I really like this one here. Anytime that Travis has to say that I was right is a good day. The best advice I ever got was from Punk and Bobby. Be consistent. I don't think it was just us, but I'm sure there's others. Don't worry about other channels. Now, when I worry, I joke. It's been fantastic to see all the Joe Reviewers channels take turns. Do you need to go outside? You do.
You a break?
Go see the boy. Hold on. Oh, he's coming.
Oh, you're sending him to the child. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. As long as there's one kid here, they can let him out.
Okay.
This is live. So send me super chats, and I will read whatever you say.
Yeah. No, it's super live. It's time now is 7:35 Pacific Standard Time. Go see Inside Out 2. Bring Kleenex because you'll need it. You'll need it.
We'll probably eventually go see that. I still like going to the Disney movies. I still enjoy going. I told my daughter, I said, this was when they were still making all good movies. Like every Disney movie was still good.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you get, you're coming, because I can't go to a princess movie by myself in my 50s. It's just kind of creepy. All right. But if I come with my daughter, it's perfectly fine. So, my son, he won't care. He just cares about going to see Deadpool.
Yeah. Oh, how's your son? I mean, I was 6 when I saw the thing. The thing.
He'll be 18.
Yeah.
He'll be 18 next month.
How old are you?
I'm 48.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'll be 49 at the end of the year. So right at the end of the year. All right. Well, let's do it really quick.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
And Grievance says, I gotta poop. Usually this is only for Woody, but I will give you it.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
I loaded that fart sound specifically for Woody because he sent super chats with the fart noise. And I'm like,
shout out to Woody. Woody's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and thank you, Grievance, as well.
We got so many. We really do have so many good people in this community.
I want to give a shout out to Ostradamus Toys. I love the clubhouse. I love going on the clubhouse. I watch you guys sometimes. I don't say much because it's the weekend and I'm like trying to score digits. So I don't want to get sucked in. I'll be like, hey, how you guys doing? All right. Anyway, I'm back to this. But anyway.
You have to decompress from YouTube.
Yeah.
You have to get away from it.
But the next time, I do look forward to going back to the clubhouse. Shout out to the Toy Network. We got a little Toy Network group on Instagram, and I definitely have some stuff planned for Toy Network as well. But I was just giving them a shout out to you guys. It's hard on the weekends. You guys, you got it. You got the love. You got the kids. You got the house. I'm still working on that shit. So.
No,
yeah.
and that's again, this is probably a little too personal.
Right. Well, I mean, no need on my end.
No. I don't feel like myself and probably Ed Action Figs Like we're the only single ones. I don't. Tony's also single, but like I feel like I should be going out doing stuff, but I don't have any urge to go out right now. So
I will say this: movement motivates mood. So sometimes you're not always in a mood, and I'm just saying that because we're talking a mood.
yeah,
Like sometimes you just have to get up and move, right? Like I said, I suffer from moderate anxiety and depression. It's not as severe. I have friends who are on medication. I'm not on medication yet, and if I do things right, handle my stressors and handle my situations, then I won't be on medication. So I've taken a holistic route. That means being very honest. If someone wastes my time, if someone's an energy vampire, a happiness vampire. We were talking earlier. Dramatic people love drama. Problematic people love problems. Bullshitters love bullshit. Cut them all out. We're at the age where you just have to cut them out, right? So,
no. So I want to say, Daredevil Dave said my son is currently on a plane headed to Illinois for Navy basic training. And now we're just waiting on a 30-second phone call from him at 4 a.m. to let us know he made it. Congratulations to your son. He has way bigger balls than I do.
right.
I said the same thing to Ed, who both his kids just joined the Air Force.
Okay.
So, and I see him right there. So congratulations to him because we need people like that.
Yeah. Congrats to all those young people, and I thank them for their service and for entering the forces. So thank you.
Without them, we wouldn't have G.I. Joe.
All right, exactly. Did you take the ASVAB? Did you ever thought about ROTC or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I never. As much as I love G.I. Joe and I love military movies and all that type of stuff, it's never interested me.
All right.
I don't think I like people telling me what to do.
Mm.
So, military isn't good for people that don't want to be told what to do.
Right. I come from a military family, and what they were telling me, I ended up not enlisting. I did take the ASVAB, and I thought about ROTC, JROTC. You have to have a strong mind because they want to mold you into something to be part of a unit, but they don't teach you how to rehumanize. They don't teach you how to get those parts back. You have to do that on your own. And I have a big family, so they ended up helping each other out a lot. They helped each other rediscover themselves. And so when you're part of a family like that, that makes it easier, right? You can still take pride in having been a ranger or having been in the Army, Marines, whatever. You can get that back, but it's on you to get that back. And I feel like that's the next phase. We have to make sure, whether it's the VA or, the Army vets or Air Force or whoever, that they start making a pathway for people to have those building blocks to either reintegrate into society, or is that they can find a home that's not a battlefield. And I think that's what's next. And whether it's, with the Wounded Warrior Project or any number of things, people love to say support our troops, but it's just words until you put actions behind it.
You're absolutely correct. And again, I think there's a lot that like you said, I think there's a lot that the government and the military, they need to do to reacclimate soldiers, airmen, Marines, seamen. Everyone loves saying seamen because I had so many seamen on my aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Especially the Marines and the soldiers. Those people see a lot of combat. They suffer from a lot of PTSD.
Yeah.
That doesn't, and I've told before, I had a buddy I used to work out with. He was a Marine. He saw major combat. He suffers from severe PTSD. He told me he did. He refused to get help. So what do you suppose? You can't make someone do something they don't want to. And I was with him somewhere where someone came in and yelled at us, and it caused him to yell and scream at them. And I'm like, dude, like, it's just words. Like, I'm not a badass here. Like, you're the badass. But again, I don't want to be killed over someone yelling some stupid words to me because you know, you're yelling at them. How many how many shipwrecks? I still love the story. I got 8 shipwrecks for Christmas, and I already had one. And then I got the USS Flag. I can't tell the story every stream. It'll come up eventually again, I'm sure. I love doing it when like everyone already knows it, but there's like one person and like in the stream that doesn't,
Right.
and you can just watch everyone else go. Oh, God, and it's like, oh, here it comes. That's
Yeah,
right.
here it is. Here it is. Yeah.
If I was on a wrestling channel, believe me, I was at WrestleMania 3 with 93,173 of my closest friends would come up a lot more. All right, so let's backtrack just a little bit.
All right.
Because you jumped to Viper Island. YouTube.
All right.
How exactly did you become involved in YouTube?
For the longest time.
How did you get into the toy community of YouTube?
All right.
I've had a lot of people look and they're like, hey, you've had a channel since like, 2010 or something like that. That's just when I made a YouTube account. And I didn't really become a channel.
For the longest time, I wanted to do video essays and talk about movies. And I guess I just never really developed the stones to really launch into that. So in a strange way, I have to be thankful for my toy tubing time, for just building up those reaction muscles and then getting used to putting content online for an audience, getting the reaction and just refining it and getting better. But as far as the toy stuff goes, it was the toy kind of mood. It was Travis. Travis wanted to talk to me about how I felt about Comic-Con 2021. And at the time, we weren't live streaming. We were recording Zoom calls. So we got on Zoom and we talked, and it was a great conversation, and neither of us recorded it. So we just didn't have the footage at all. And we had to like go back, record Zoom, and then try to like recreate the conversation we had for the episode. So that was like my first time being online. But before that, I had done some stuff for Nuke the Fridge, now known as Nerd Reactor. I did a couple of Q&As, interviews with, actors. So I had been online before, and it was interesting. I had been part of viral campaigns, which was pretty cool. But as far as a consistent YouTuber, it was doing that one episode of Toy Kind of Mood, then going back again, and meeting Bobby, and meeting our good friend Michael Vlad, meeting Fobster, meeting Boog Nice, and just becoming more enmeshed in the community, having something to say and being a part of something. That was fun. It was fun until it wasn't, because it was just a lot of work. And it's still a lot of work, which is why Black Genghis is every other week. It's an hour long. It takes me that long to put together the show, because it's like, what time do I have left between doing laundry, doing dishes, compiling data for work, going out to a bar and, buying a young lady a drink. So it's like, I have a full life I do outside of the toy thing, and I'm trying to fit this in. It's not easy, and I can't let this thing be all encompassing, because there's just other things I want to do. But as far as doing that, it was Toy Kind of Mood. And it was just the fact that I got along so well with Travis and Bobby and everyone else, because we all liked a lot of the same things. But we were different. We meshed well together. And we had a level of passion and energy that I think that a lot of people in the toy community don't have. I think it helps that we're in LA. I think it helps that we were involved in facets of the business. Travis still is a working actor. He still gets parts and roles. Bobby is an editor. He's a writer. We have friends who are writers.
Bobby doesn't live in LA, does he?
He lives in Texas, but he's still
okay.
Yeah,
I thought he lived in Texas.
But Texas has a thriving creative community.
Yeah,
as well.
I didn't think that he lived there like around you guys.
All right, I got the invite from Matson for Pop Blender. I appreciate that. You know, I got love for Tony. I'm still flabbergasted. I'm friends with someone like Tony. I got love for that dude. He's a good dude, and we brought him on as a featured guest, and in time he became part of the crew. Man, we're really proud of the Terradrome stuff, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, like I got love for these guys, you know, and even when like Travis and I argue, we argue like brothers. We care about each other like brothers, you know. And it's like, you know, people they got something to say. I let them say their thing until they go too far. And you know, you see me. You see me have to be like, hey, that's enough. That's enough about that. That's still my dude. So you're gonna have to talk to me if you're gonna talk to my dude like that. You know, and like the same thing. Like we have one of our members, Steven. So me and Steven sometimes like we'll disagree about things. Like we almost really got into it about April O'Neil because he did not like that April O'Neil was black. And I was like, for us to be friends, you really need to stop talking about this right now. Like that kind of thing. So
when was April O'Neil black?
In the Mutant Mayhem movie. It's the girl from The Bear. She voices April O'Neil. And I didn't have a problem with it. I don't fucking care. Like my April O'Neil is, it could be whoever. She's just, as long as she's done with the turtles and is wearing a yellow raincoat. But for some people, it's like, it becomes a thing, you know? So I'm like, okay. But that's a whole other discussion we'll save for later. The point is that being an honest person, being yourself, not holding back, you're going to have those moments. You're going to have those moments where it could be a disagreement or things can get intense. You know, like I've stepped away from Toy Kind of Mood more than once. You know, but I still care about those guys. So I'll come back. It's different now because I have my own channel and my own brand. So I don't have the same pressure that I used to as far as like really taking responsibility for whether Toy Kind of Mood succeeded or not. They're doing great. They just celebrated 3,000 subscribers. And like that, they'll be at 4,000 and on and on and on. It's crazy how great they're doing right now. And it's awesome. There was a time we didn't even have 10 people in the chat sometimes when we started streaming. You know, and we're grateful for all the people who have helped us out. Ryan Sweeney, my good friend Chris Johnston, a lot of people. Giles Gifford, he gave us a big boost in one of the early days of Terradrome. And you know, I don't forget that stuff. I don't forget when people invest in you because they see something in you. I was talking with Bobby, and we're having a long talk, and I said, like, I invested in you guys because I'm betting on you, just like I bet on buying 2 Hot Wheels Optimus Primes, flipping one to pay for them both, right? That's a bet I'm making. When I buy this stuff, some of this stuff is like stocks. It's stocks. You pay $50 now, so you don't have to pay $200 later, right? You bet. I bet you that McFarlane Collector's Edition Wonder Woman is going to quadruple in price, and then it does, right? So I'm betting on these guys. I'm betting on a Toy Kind of Mood. I'm betting on Travis Moody. I'm betting on Bobby Behar. I'm betting on Tony Romo. I'm here right now because, I mean, you're a sure thing. I don't have to bet on you at all. It's like I already know.
I don't know about that.
Huh?
I just have people that for some odd reason enjoy hearing what comes out of my mouth.
Hey, I still look forward to it. It's hard because it's like I'm watching Raw. Sometimes I'm like, okay, Raw commercial, mute, and then I get back onto it. You know, I'll be lurking because I don't want to like get sucked away from Raw, but like still, yeah, man, no, you're great. You're one of the greats, and I'm honored to be your guest. And we're not saying bye. I'm just being real.
No. But anyway, with that, we're leaving. All right, so you did the Toy Kind of Mood, and then you've kind of mentioned how you had a few times that you had to kind of just step away from them.
Yep.
So I would say at this point you have stepped away. Now it doesn't mean you're not part of them, but
okay,
you stepped away to do your own thing. I guess. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you're doing now.
All right.
And when did you actually when did you start doing your own channel?
All right.
And in the description, or I'm sorry, links are in the description to Instagram, and YouTube.
All right, man. I'll be real. I had 2 conversations that really kickstarted me into really doing the channel. And I also have to give a special shout out to Toy Connections, Ken Poe, because Ken really was one of the first people to feature me as Black Genghis as a solo feature. And just talking with him and being on his show and just letting me have the floor and just have a good time and get
Can I
used to
say?
it.
I want to say something really quick. Ken has absolutely no ego whatsoever.
Yeah.
He does not care if someone goes past him or if someone isn't, and they want to talk to him. Every conversation, and again, if you don't really know, I mean, I rag on Ken. It is all it's a bit, okay? I'll let you guys in on something. He is focused on doing what he does.
Yeah.
You know, and that's great. And that's why I think he makes such good, like his Von Erich, his Von
Yeah.
Erich's video is awesome. And it just hit 40,000. That's fucking amazing. I can't even imagine getting a video that hits 40,000.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you continue. I just wanted to mention who is actually my guest next week.
All right, awesome.
It's already recorded because he can't do it from a plane and I can't do it in the Toy Hamster's house. So
Yeah.
all right. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, it's all good. I may need to ask you some pointers because I'm going to have to pre-record something for the 4th of July, but that's later. So I'll holler at you about that. But anyway, so I have this massive collection in my apartment. I just moved to a new apartment. I'm trying to find a roommate and won't get spooked out from all the shit that's in the apartment. And I keep having a lot of close calls to finally getting someone on the lease, and it just, for one reason or another, doesn't work out. And it got to the point where I'm paying double rent on a 2-bedroom in Los Angeles, and I just run out of money. I'm not able to make sales fast enough. I was selling Storm collectibles. I sold a lot of my Joes. I was selling stuff. I got into his tank, and I got in the fire team to package together to sell because I just needed to get the money. And I got hit with an eviction notice. Not proud, not my proudest moment. And I'm like, all the shit I've done, all the things I've accomplished, all the things that I'm good at, and this happens. For a little bit, I was scared. But then as soon as right after, what came to the surface was I was pissed off. It's like, how dare you threaten to evict me? You need me. So I opened up the field and I just kept talking with people, found a good roommate. And in the middle of that, I had talked with 2 people, and those 2 people were Ryan Sweeney and Mark Muncannon. And I told Ryan, I flat out told him, like, hey man, I'm done. I can't do this shit. I'm about to sell fucking everything. I'm about to put up this his tank. He's like, no, you're not. It's like, dude, I got hit with a fucking eviction notice. He's like, so? Find a roommate, pay your rent. You don't sell that tank. You're going to have to pay double, triple for it. I'm like, I got to do something. It's like, keep the tank, get a roommate. Get a roommate. It's like, I mean, I've been trying to get a roommate. He's like, try harder, get a roommate. And then do your thing, and it'll be worth it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, so Aaron says I do have a live room you could use Punk, but my internet is shitty. And
Yeah,
Green
my
versus
internet's
Lies,
shitty too.
He'd be better off driving down to the nearest McDonald's and live stream from there. Your internet is poop. Hold on.
He's
What was
probably
that?
talking about mine. I'm probably pixelated as a motherfucker right now. Let me see.
No, not at all.
All
The first time that you were on,
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
you were
right?
on
Yeah.
twice, I think. Because
Yeah.
one time, Tony and I were like, that was awful.
Yeah, I had to do basically I had to do that. Like, it was that bad.
But it
So I got
happened.
better internet, and I threatened Spectrum and be like, if you don't do something about this internet, I'm gonna go to fucking T-Mobile. I'm tired of this stuff. Shout out to Random Diorama. Don't forget to check out his Chill Toy Vibes. Really cool stuff.
Oh, he's
And
awesome.
yeah, and Mark was basically telling me, because I was talking with Mark like right at the beginning of like Gridiron Studios and all that stuff. So I've known Mark for a while now. And he was like, he's had times where like he sold, he had to sell a lot of stuff. I don't want to just flat out say how much he had to sell. because he's got a family, he's got kids, he's got a wife, that kind of stuff, right? So he wasn't always able to be doing all the stuff that he's doing now. You know, he was telling me, and we just were trading just war stories basically about how encompassing being a collector can be. And once you sell a Grail, it makes it easier to sell everything else. Once you sell that Cobra Island Cobra Trooper, and you sell all of them except the first one you got, it changes things. Everything's up for sale. Everything. And I've been selling stuff, man. I'm still selling stuff. Stuff I swore I wasn't going to. Mezcos, Black Series, you name it. Said I wasn't ever going to sell Masters of Universe Origins. Some of that stuff I had no choice, man. Like, it was rare, unpunched cards. So I sold that shit, you know?
Radnam says, I came in on the eviction notice. I haven't had one of those in a while. Don't miss them.
Yeah, man.
Radnam talked a lot about that a couple weeks ago when he was on. So
yeah.
he's been there, you know. He's been there.
But, you know, I'm a proud man, and I try not to have a fool's pride, right? So I was like, and I knew I wanted at least a good roommate. I get along with my roommate now, like it's cool. You know, and like right now it's just I don't buy everything, you know. I'm very picky about what I buy, and some stuff I just let go. Like stuff sells out on me all the time, right? And sometimes it's like I have the money, but if I want to pay bills and pay student loans and pay rent, then I'm just not going to get that figure. I'm not going to get that thing. I'm not going to get in on that. I think I told you guys, like I had some Cyclones and Mythic Legions stolen from my apartment.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did, yeah. And shout out to Mattel Creations because they replaced the Cyclones. I love Cyclone. So I will always fuck with Mattel Creations from here on out. They have a summer sale. Check it out. I got another Muhammad Ali, so that was cool. Mythic Legions did not replace that. They're a smaller company. The most they did was they gave me a link to rebuy the stuff, even though everything was out of stock. And I was
where did they get stolen from?
From the lobby of my apartment. It's LA.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought you meant they got stolen from inside your house.
No. They got stolen like in the mailbox lobby in the first floor.
And let me just say, like, they don't have to replace it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how big of a company they are. They don't have to, but the fact that they did is awesome.
It's awesome. Super awesome.
It's so little for them, but it is huge because, like you just said, I will always push their stuff. I will always push it because they went above and beyond for something that probably cost them seriously fucking 50 cents.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, he wants it. And so now here you are pushing them.
And I got love for that Cyclone. You know, I'm glad they finally restocked Duplico. People wanted that Duplico like crazy. And Mythic Legions, I don't hold anything against them, you know, but I couldn't buy that stuff again. So I lost out on hundreds of dollars on that. And that was kind of my cue to like, let's slow this down because people are stealing everything nowadays. It's just times are hard here. In LA, grocery bills are high, that kind of stuff. You know, like I will like try to like compromise with my roommate. I'd be like, hey man, this AC, like, I'm glad we have central AC, but we may have to just crack open a window because this bill's going to be high when it's all said and done, man. You know, and I'll be like, okay, like, hey, it's 80s, 90s. Look, man, crank open the AC. I'll pay. Let's pay together, right? But so anyway, short story is like, I can't buy everything, so I don't. I miss out on shit all the time. Not the Joes. I will grab the Joes. I missed out on Plo Koon. Missed out on a lot of stuff. Missed out on a lot of the Black Series stuff. The Transformers, they brought back Soundwave with Buzzsaw and all that stuff.
My store, they just got all that stuff a couple weeks ago. And I'm just looking at it going, it looks just like what we had. I want to go buy it all, even though I'm not a Transformers guy, but knowing that it looks like all the 80s stuff, I'm like, nope, can't go down that road. Cannot go down that road.
It's a long road, man. Like, oh man, these guys got me into Jedi Toy Street Fighter, right? And they're trying to get me into Mega Man. I'm like, I don't got it, bro.
I was close, but I'm like, I don't collect them. I don't collect
So I have me, and I'm a member of a few toy hunter groups, right, outside of Toy Hunter Moon. So in one of the groups, we have what we call figure fate. You're in the aisles, you're on the street, you come across it, get that shit. Get it. Right? So Dalcine, it ain't here. And Bison's ain't here. No problem. I got plenty of other stuff that I get. I don't even get that. Right? I may get this. Right? And like review it later. Love Sam Wilson, all that kind of stuff. And I got like some of the other Captain Americas to contrast and compare, right? Sales, outlet, the Power Day sale on Pulse, that kind of stuff, right? So the point is, be picky, be choosy. If you come across it and you want it, yeah, if I come across M. Bison, $25, I'll get M. Bison, man. But I'm not sweating it because the longer I don't want it to M. Bison, the more I can do with that $25. Instead, I can like treat a nice lady to an old fashioned and then try to get the digits, man. Come on. Anyway, I'm out here, man. I'm trying to make something work.
So with your channel, because we were talking about, I don't know how we ended up here, but
sorry, I'm rambled.
Don't worry. Like, believe me, I don't expect anything that I'm on to stay on track. So with your channel, like, what are you looking to do now? I know you do a live stream every other week on Thursday.
Yeah. So right now, I'm still reviewing the Vamp with the Gridiron stuff, right? So that's why you see like this backdrop here. I featured the Vamp on the last episode I did with Mark, which is my biggest episode yet, and I'm really glad that he was able to do that. Shout out to Quaid, who made a cameo appearance. Great designer. So, but like I said, I take my time. Like I still have to finish shooting the footage for the review.
Mm-hmm.
If something comes up, I will do that first. I'm not in a rush. There's a million Vamp reviews out. But I'm just doing it my way, and I'll do it later. They've already reviewed the Sam Wilson Captain America. They've already reviewed the Joes. You know, shout out to Shark Eye Toy View. Check out his reviews on Night Creeper and Doc. Fantastic stuff. Check that stuff out. My homie Travis, he'll review stuff like Look at these Split. You know, shout out to B's Battlegrounds. You have fantastic reviews. I had to finish watching your Arsenal Pew Pews review because, you know, I got love for that stuff too. I prefer Gridiron. I still buy from Arsenal every so often and others, right? But the point is like I'm on a different schedule. So if I do anything, hopefully people will enjoy it. I have a broken MacBook. So it takes me longer to finish a video until I finally buy a new MacBook. Been saving up money. Just got paid this week. So payday's tomorrow. So I have like a thing with my credit union where I get like the money right then and there. Like you get, you know, Dave has there's an app called Dave that's kind of similar where you get paid early because you're already going to get paid at a schedule. The point is saving money for a new MacBook so I can edit more shit and get it out. Ken, he does his editing, I think, on the phone sometimes. Let me not speak for him. I'm not entirely sure. You can edit stuff on the phone, right?
That's how I do all my reviews. I mean, they're not very edited, but that is how.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, I worked with Tony. Like, Tony, he's doing a great job. Everybody, go check out Tony's Figs on YouTube. Check out that stuff. It's amazing stuff. And I'm glad he'll be at 1,000 subscribers at no time. I also know that he's not really paying attention to that stuff because that's not who he is. He's just doing what he loves, and people gravitate to that. Awesome. Great job, Daredevil Dave. Glad that your son's safe.
Tony's watching his numbers.
but for me to have my peace of mind, like I said, for me to not be anxiety ridden over the channel, I kind of can't watch the numbers. I'm glad that the numbers were there for Mark because I want people to support his store and I want people to invest money in the Vamp. It's worth it. Sky high bill. Yeah, it's 200 plus to buy everything for the Vamp. It's worth it. It's worth it. When I talk about the field operator, when I talk about a 1/12 scale switchblade, and I give it to my John Wick, you know, that stuff is worth it. You get what you pay for. Otherwise, if you're wasting money on cheap stuff, that's money down the drain. The stuff that I buy, I go back to over and over and over again. The duels in Darth Vader with the split mask. the like just little things, like my Hot Wheels land speeder. That's like my woo-saw totem whenever I'm about to lose my shit, right? I still am looking for a Luke Skywalker because with the Jazzwares Micro Galaxy, the figurines are small enough to fit in the Hot Wheels.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so if you get, well, I can't pull this out without. I'm talking about my Star Wars Micro Galaxy, not pulling anything else out. But anyway, yeah, the point is the micro figures, they will fit in your Hot Wheels. So, but anyway, the point is with Black Genghis, it has to be fun and it's got to be me. I got to do this my way. It's going to be slow. The reviews are going to be late. With the lives, if people stream in and they're willing to invest any of their time they can't get back. Time is the commodity. Someone invests time with me, that's the ultimate compliment. They're letting me be incorporated into their lives. I don't take that for granted. I have nothing but the utmost gratitude for that. With gratitude is everything. Without gratitude, you have nothing. I feel bad for ingrates. Ungrateful people don't know what they have in their lives. And when you're talking about the algorithm, it's a trap because it's never good enough. 3,000 is never good enough. 6,000 is never good enough. 10,000 is never good enough. You need to be glad that anyone's willing to invest a second into your life because none of them have to. So I'm always grateful. I love seeing those familiar faces. I love making them laugh. I love, just doing something random. Bionic 6, ooh, ooh, like whatever. Like just sharing those common touchstones that we have together. And if I put a smile on their face, awesome. If they come back 2 weeks from now, that's even better because it means that I did something right. And I'm cool with that. I'm okay with Black Genghis just being that. That's good enough for me.
But everything that you just said is what, under normal circumstances, makes a good channel. This is what makes people coming back to your channel, to your shows. People don't seem to get that. Again, I am a very there's one YouTuber that I just don't like his product. I don't like what he does. He has so many subscribers, like 25,000 last time I checked, right? And I don't care for him. And Allison is like, he's not like that in real life. Like when we talk to him, and she says, I don't think that you like the fact that you can tell that it's a persona that he's really putting on. I'm like, that's exactly it. When I want to sit down and watch Persona, I'll sit down and watch Tom Cruise be Maverick, right? That's but on YouTube, if you're doing stuff like this, you're not doing a show on YouTube where it's a produced one. I don't want to see that. I want to see who you actually are. But clearly, if you have that many people watching, there are people that want to see it. And I'm not saying he's a bad person because I don't know him. I'm just saying I don't like his content, so I don't watch it. I don't go around bashing him. It's just something that I don't enjoy because to me, I want everything to be authentic.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get a little more amped than I probably really am, but it's not. Oh, hey, Baldy, I am not shit talking Tom Cruise. I love Tom Cruise. All right?
Yeah.
As crazy as he is, he makes damn good.
Great movies, man.
And not Rachel. I just like saying not Rachel.
Yeah. Salinas. I just say Salinas. What up, Salinas? Yeah.
Yeah, I like not Rachel better.
But I think what took kind of mood, we still pride ourselves with being authentic. Like the group of us. And we bring out the best out of each other. And I'm proud of that. It's been difficult because I feel like some of our best moments lately I haven't been a part of, and there's a part I find that kind of bittersweet. I love the Joe interview. I saw the Joe team interview like 3 times just because it was just that good. And I can't believe I wasn't a part of that. I just had work. I had work commitments. The Ray Murphy episode of Terror Drone. just like that's like the gold standard of what I want a Terradrome episode to be, and I had nothing to do with that. I'm like man, I'm missing out on like all this stuff. But I don't have any regrets, and I'm proud of those guys, and I'm proud of what that channel is now because they stuck to it. They are still themselves, and they can find success as themselves. And I knew that they could. It was just going to take time. I remember those episodes where we were just hoping to crack 100 views, just crack 100 views. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, just give it time. Just give it time. Like my next episode won't get the gridiron numbers, and the episode after that probably won't. But I'm still proud of them, and I think they're going to be fantastic.
But
I wouldn't be able to do them if it was like every week. The things I would have to let go of, for me, I can't do that. I have other things that I'm trying to balance out and do.
But I can tell you from doing this show that you will watch a progression as it goes. You'll have bigger shows. Like right now, we have 56 watching. This is one of the bigger shows. Mark's show was really, really big when I had Gridiron on. And then some you have less. But the one thing that I found from doing the first few is that people wanted to come in and talk toys, and we kind of had to tell them, this isn't about talking toys. This is about the person opposite of me. Not saying we won't ever touch that, and it took time for people to figure that out. And when they did, some people went away because they just didn't care, because that's not what they want to hear, and that's fine. And other ones tuned in because they're like, this is very interesting. So yeah, you're going to have some where you have a big guest like Mark, where it does great. But what you're going to find is people tuned in and they said, yeah, I tuned in to hear about Gridiron, but I really liked what this guy had to say. I liked the way that he presented things. And you do a really good job. I've told you that before. You do a really good job.
It's high praise coming from you, man. I know it doesn't come easy, so I appreciate that.
If you know, I everything for me is there's no script. I do everything impromptu. I mean, I have a set of things that I want to hit, but that's it. But that's how I've always been. Even when doing speech in high school, if I wrote something down, I didn't even pay attention to it because I just went off, and that I would go on. I showed in high school, I brought in my skateboard to show how to put it together. It went like 15 minutes. It was supposed to be like 5 minutes. And I'm like, was it really that long? And the teacher was like, and then the whole class was like, but that's just me. I noticed when I did the Arsenal Pew Pews, I'm like, this is going to be a short video. And then I'm like, holy shit. I just can't go short. Like, as short as I am, you think it would be easy. All right. So you're doing, does your show have a name?
It's Black Genghis Live. And then
Okay,
the reviews are the reviews. For the longest time, I was thinking of doing this thing called like Saturday Morning Customs. But like I said, I was able to get the Terradrome brand, and now we're going to relaunch the show on Black Genghis. So there's the reviews, it's Black Genghis Live, and Terradrome. And any other things, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. All right, so that's what I want to talk about. So every other week you're doing Black Genghis Live.
Mm-hmm.
You are now taking the Terradrome, from a Toy Kind of Mood, and you're putting it on your channel.
Black Genghis YouTube, yes.
So what's going to be different now if you're taking Terradrome over? What are you going to be focusing on? What are you going to be doing with it?
So the seeds of Terradrome were customs, and at the time, Joe Classified was a very young line, and there were all these characters that we wanted that we just weren't getting. So I had made a custom doc. I had made like some, Crimson Cobra Commanders, that kind of stuff. And we were talking about, well, what if we did a show about customs? And
hold on, quickly. I love when someone is watching behind, because that was like 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I love when someone is watching past us.
So anyway, when we did Terradrome, we're still like a news show, right? So we're still like G.I. Joe News, Yojo June, all that shit. And we still had focused on the news a lot. We would talk about customs. Travis was getting into customs. He was doing great stuff. Whether we were talking about getting the claw glider from Mark Groig or anything gridiron. And it was a lot of community shout outs. And so I really like that aspect. And I definitely still want to keep that because we talk about some of our favorites. We talk about Instant Leanne Hobbs. We talk about Greg Shaw. We talk about DSG and, like the great work that Toyomic was doing with the gridiron bunker walls and whatnot. Artwork. I love, all the Mike Zeck covers that he did for Marvel's G.I. Joe run. And, so I definitely want to keep an element of that. But the biggest difference is that we are going to be doing customs. We're going to be painting and layering and varnishing and decaling and dremeling and using milliput and acrylic putty. And we're going all the way in, and it's going to be live. We're going to be kit bashing stuff together. I'm going to be using soft goods. I'm going to be swapping figures. I'm going to show you how certain things fit. Now, if I was about it, I would be heating up figures, taking like a steel rod, plucking out pins, and taking styrene and like replacing the pins and shit. That's like I had to like still learn how to do that. Shout out to Gun Bunny. He does that all the time. He'll explode a figure. But that's the kind of stuff you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing the bamboo sticks. You're going to be seeing the clamps. You're going to be seeing us breaking out the heat gun and the hair dryers, and we're doing it live. Like I got shit that I'm going to be putting together live, and it's going to be awesome. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that. All right, yeah, Lifeline. So I want to take the Wonder Man Legends because it's already red. And I want to take the Crossfire because it's already red, but it's too bulky. The legs are too bulky. And I want to make Lifeline. So part of the way to do a Lifeline, for example, is you find fucking red figures. You want a certain amount of bagginess, that kind of thing. But then once you get like the right mix, like for example, I would just use black boots from a classified figure. So he wouldn't have the same boots that the 3 3/4 Lifeline has. I would cheat, right? But I would use goggles from Gridiron. I would use the med kits from Gridiron and paint them to match the colors of the accessories. So that's how I would put together a Lifeline. I would take the head sculpt from Tripwire and use that for Lifeline, and then add a red helmet from Gridiron that I could use as his med helmet and whatnot. So I would show you the recipe, I would talk about it, and then I would just do it. Like that's what Terradrome's going to be.
All right. Now, is it just you?
No. Tony, like me and Tony, it's going to be like co-host. It's going to be like that's Run DMC right there.
Okay.
So he's like going to be, and I'm not saying like feature, like co-host, like two-hander. It's like we can talk about it because Tony, he can live stream too. So there's plenty to talk about. For right now, the infrastructure's there for going live on Black Genghis, so that's where it's at. But Tony's going to be a part of it. I still say Terradrome is me, Tony, Ryan, Fixer, Travis. That's Terradrome. And it's open door policy. So Travis can show up if he's willing to grab a Dremel and destroy some figures and put them back together. Same for Fixer. Same for Dreadnought. That's Terradrome. It's always been that way. For right now, it's just me and Tony. Like we're like Belle Biv DeVoe out of New Edition, right? So that's kind of how that is. It's still going to be badass. It's still going to be awesome. It's not New Edition, but it can be. New Edition did reunite, so it's always that. But for right now, it's going to be me, Tony, and where we can get our hands on. We put out the call to people. I need to call some people. I need to holler at some people online. I have some of my favorites. He has some of his. We have like Grail guests. I talked to Tony. It's like, Tony, who are the people you want on this, man? Because that's who we need to bring in. It doesn't matter who. Like, manifesting.
Ray Murphy.
Yeah.
He really wants Ray Murphy.
Ray Murphy. The first guest will be Ray Murphy. Second will be Ray Murphy, and then Ray Murphy after that. And then we'll have another one with featuring Ray Murphy. No, but so I still want to. I want to still talk about photography, but I still want them to like make a figure or make a diorama the same way that Radnum does. Right. Like I want Oz. I want Ostradamus on there, but I want him to make a figure. I want you on there, but I want you to make a figure. Shout out to Profit Director. He made basically IG Iron Grenadier Destro out of it. I want Mark Gerwig. I want as heavy hitters as you can get. I want on the show. But one of the caveats is be prepared to make something. Be prepared to make something happen, because that's what we're doing. That's what Terradrome is. Strap into that fire bat and lift off. It's going to be all the way live. I
don't have the fire bat figure anymore. I have my fire bat. I don't know how. That's one of those ones. Like, how did he disappear?
So I have what I call a Grail budget, and twice a year I buy a Grail. One year it's the Mr. T Motu of the WWE universe. Another year it'll be Robotech. Like I bought both Robotechs. I bought the Rick Hunter and the Roy Fokker Veritechs because I'm like, that shit's mine. And then another year I ended up getting the Hiya Toys Storm Shadow that I still had to review and open up very carefully. Shout out to Zen.
You know what? If those aren't open and you wanna make money, that's what you should sell.
No, I can't sell. I love that concept art Storm Shadow, and I wish we got that as a figure. There was a lot of hate towards Classified series in the first couple of years, and they talked that team out of a lot of cool shit because they couldn't shut the fuck up. So that Storm Shadow, I'm still gonna open it because I want it open. But I'm going to be very careful because I want to be able to put it back on the cart. Yes.
So you have your Black Genghis live.
Yeah.
You have Terradrome. Where do you see or where do you want to take your channel?
I'm probably going to keep the same pace because now that I've really developed a presence on YouTube, I want to go back into film reviews and video essays, and that's not going to be the Black Genghis brand. Mm-hmm. I have a focus on society and culture, and for the longest time, I wanted to podcast. So I still want to do that, and that probably won't be on YouTube. That will probably be on podcasting. I have a face for radio, so that helps. So between that, I have about 3 different things I need to balance. And that's another reason why I'm doing Black Genghis bi-weekly, because I knew I still wanted to talk about pop culture and also current affairs. And I wanted to do it my own way at my own pace. So I couldn't put everything into Black Genghis. I'm grateful for any growth it has. I'm still going to make time for, appearances on Clubhouse, Toy Network, definitely Terradrome with Tony and any members from Toy Kind of Mood that want to show up, and also showing up on the flagship on Toy Kind of Mood.
He had another comment about Tom Cruise. I'm like, he's so far behind. I love when we catch people. It's awesome.
Quick shout out. This is my John Wick made out of the oh my god, who's the Jeff Bridges? Obadiah Stane. Good. Yeah.
Oh, that's the Ironmonger one.
Yeah, and I like this because he has an open hand for ripping out Tony's arc reactor out of his chest.
I actually have, my son has it, so I have it in my G.I. Joe display.
But I like it because with the open hand, and John Wick's a lefty anyway, he can hold that barrel and he can hold it. So it's great for rifles, it's great for shotguns, that kind of stuff. So this is my quick kit bash. And they'll be like, I feel like I'm going to do like a prologue for Terradrome where it's just kit bashing shit. Just a quick kit bash. All right. And then we get down to the nitty gritty. So this is like a really easy kit bash. The head sculpt is from, I want to say, Kiki Fix Loose Joints. I forget what the actual IG name is, but that's what he goes by on eBay. So great head sculpt. Put Keanu Reeves head sculpt on a suit, give him a gun, you got John Wick. So that's always like an easy, nasty custom I can show off. And I use that. So he's going to be like the model for the gridiron shit that I put on YouTube for reviews and Arsenal Pew Pews, Jay's Armory, that kind of stuff. And Thanatos Unlimited, like all that. But first and foremost, gridiron is my favorite. I'm not exclusive to gridiron. And, but everyone knows that I play favorites. And like those are my favorites. I feel like they're worth the money. I never feel like I'm being overcharged for something. I know how much time and R&D it takes to even develop these things. They got a full out pocket knife, bro. Come on. So the point is, but I still buy from others. I buy from this place and that place, And I know you're the same way too. You make it a point on your thumbnails to say that you're not bought and paid for. You value your independence. For real. I'm being for real.
Well, again, a lot has to be taken from it. So this is what you're talking about. You mentioned it a couple times. The pocket knife.
Dude, solos. You can solo yourself on this, right? Okay, yeah. But it looks great. Yeah.
Oh, I did a whole review on it.
All right, yeah.
But this, I ordered, because I didn't want the airborne loadout. I ordered
this set. The Field Operator X, yeah.
Yeah. No, well, this is the
in a clutch. That's what it's called.
Yes, in a clutch.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything for the vamp, so I just because the whole vamp thing was done with Greg's vamp.
All right.
And then I left it because he has a couple of these, so I just left the piece that goes on it because I don't need it. But I liked the gun and everything, but the little knife in it was like that was the tipping point. Like, you know what? I'm going to get it. It's a good price right now because it was on sale.
Yeah.
Because it was the week that came out. So pretty much you're just paying for it because shipping's always $5.
Yeah.
So, but to me, you're absolutely right. And when I had Mark on, I had already come around to understanding, especially talking to Tony, all the stuff that goes into it and everything. But there was a lot of people that said, I have a completely different look at gridiron right now because they understood what goes into it. But there's nothing wrong with having a favorite. And I made sure on the Arsenal Pew Pews that I let them know, like, they're sending me some extra weapons to showcase. Those two, the two silver rifles, those were brand new. And he sent those to me. And that's why I waited to drop the video because it had been done for a few days. But he was out of town. And I said, when do you want me to drop this? And he said, well, we're out of town. It won't be live till Wednesday. I'm like, then I'll wait. And I know he's already messaged me that somebody put in the notes that they watched it on watching on the video. And that's what I'm hoping to do, that when I am able to review some of these other stuff, that it gets other people's names out there. And I think like one thing that you should do. One thing that you should do and whatever the unlimited, Tony and I I don't know how to say the word. Antonio, Thanos Unlimited. That's what I thought it was.
Thanos, yeah.
His stuff isn't, and I don't have any of his stuff, but none of it is painted or anything. Showing people how to dye it and paint it, I think would go really far because people don't know how to do it. And nobody wants to do something without watching someone actually do it.
All right, let me see. Bear with me. Hold on a second. I'm gonna. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right, good. All right. Man, I can't believe I'm doing this. All right. Damn, I can't believe I'm doing this. All right. So this is one of my paint collections here. All right. So I like Vallejo. I'm a big Vallejo fan. Vallejo Model Color is the brand I swear by. Have a lot of colors here. You can get a lot done with surface primer. You want to scrub, slightly sand a figure, and that's after you do boil and pop. I like using your hair dryer or putting it in a plastic bag and then putting it in hot water to soften it and then popping it. You want to sand it, you want to prime it, then you paint it, and then you seal it. You can use colored primers. So you can use white, black, or gray primer. I like painting directly to color. So you can use a colored primer to skip a step, and then you layer it on with paint. I did this for Crimson Cobra Commander, right? This would be good for your Cobra Troopers. If you have a grayscale weapon from Thanatos Unlimited or Mark II toys or anything like that, Gridiron takes paint very well.
Oh yeah.
Leather brown for straps, web gear. So if you have web gear, backpacks, and you get it from Jay's Armory Etsy and Thanatos, right? You have the Woodstock, or like, you want like a brown handle on your handgun. You use primer after you sand it, and then you paint colors directly to it, and then you can just seal it.
But I think showing people, especially sanding, because you're sanding something so small,
Yeah,
like that, like, and again, that was the whole reason why I did the video to remove the paint. Without I have it. Oh, it's actually floor.
I still have these. So when I started, they don't make this anymore. This is Model Master from Testers. This is acrylic, and they discontinued it. But some of the colors here are fantastic. We still use it. So a lot of times, once again, like they got to bring something like this back. But Model Master is fantastic, and I don't use this stuff unless I have to. So between that and Vallejo, I do pretty good. Sometimes if I have, depending on what I'm using, there's also sprays. I haven't opened up this one yet. So this isn't acrylic. This is an alcohol-based spray. So it's going to do different things, right? Sometimes people have spray primers. I still have an automotive spray primer somewhere. If I'm doing like a figure, and I'm just priming the whole figure, I'll break it up into pieces. You put it up onto bamboo sticks. You go outside and just spray the whole thing. And you keep spinning it until it's covered in primer, gray primer. If you want it to pop, white primer. If you want it to be dark, black primer. And then you can add gray to black, or you can add white. You can add black to white or add white to black, depending on the grayscale that you want. Or you can just use a flat gray primer. Most people just use a flat gray primer. And then you seal it. So that's the kind of stuff that you're going to be seeing on Terradrome. Like, we're going in.
And I think people are gonna love seeing that. I really do. I think it'll get people to, like, I don't think people are scared of a Dremel, but people are scared of Dremel head, never doing it before. And I told Tony that. I'm like, that's a video you need to do. So again, I think what you guys have planned and what you're doing right now is awesome. Like I said, everything that you do, you can tell when you're doing something, you're very authentic. You're not boring. There's a lot of YouTubers that are really boring, and God bless them. There's a lot of people that like watching that. That's not something for me, obviously. I have my screen going here so I can make sure that I'm not ever glitching again, and I will see my hands constantly moving, which is always delayed because it's on like a 2-second delay. So again, I think what you guys are going to do is, what you're doing right now is really good. And then once you get to the point where you get monetized, then it comes. And once you do, you start realizing that goes towards your toys.
All right.
I mean, it was a big thing for me. I actively worked to get monetized.
Okay.
To see where I would be, and it's gotten to the point where now it's doing what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you're still paying for your past sins of catching up. Because when most of your content is all reviews, other than your live streams, that means you're paying to create content.
I was paying the cost for all of it with none of the content. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I had to like find the time to reinvest in it. And with the Vamp review, for example, I'm proud of it. It's going to be great. I have some cool stuff in there. I have some funny stuff in there. I just have to edit it. But I'm not rushing myself. The pace may pick up depending on how things end up, like with the figs and everything else. But that time will come. You know, your time will pass either way. And I wanted to have fun. It had to be fun first. If you're not having fun, you are not doing it right. So I had to protect the fun of it.
Especially with this, because you're not making enough money for it to be a career.
Yeah.
You know, if I was making enough money that I could quit my job, I could deal with it not being fun all the time, right?
Yeah.
But when you're just like, hey, I'd like to make enough money to cover my obsession or come close to it, and I don't, I'm coming closer now. It's and again, a lot of that goes to my buddy Greg, who says, hey, do you want to review this? And he comes over with 84 Gridiron products, and I'm like, yes, I do want to review that. And I said before, I think I have the most Gridiron reviews of anyone out there, and it's not all my stuff. It's actually mostly Greg's.
Well, shout out to the homie Greg. Also, shout out to Clint Jorgensen. I don't paint miniatures. Giles Gifford got his start in miniatures, but now went into action figures. I'm purely figures. I wanted to do some model work before the pandemic. So I was actually painting models in like Galaxy's Edge phone cases with friends of mine, right? Like Datapad Club, basically. And it was a lot of fun. But if you want to go into miniatures, just go into YouTube. You'll find some great stuff. One of my favorites, Action Figure Toronto. Not on YouTube, but a great website that I think now is defunct. You would have to use archive.org to find it. But he talked about a lot of the basics. He would make his own toe articulation. Like he would like cut into the toes, use a paper clip, and like create like toe articulation. Yeah. Like he'd get in there. So just find what gravitates to you. You'll find the right people to be like, okay, I can listen to this guy. Not everyone's a good teacher. Not everyone's good at explaining things. So they're not going to explain things, right? So you have to find those people. But if you look, you will find them.
The explaining thing is always difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, my buddy Tony that I skated with, he was always and still is amazing at explaining how to do a trick, and we didn't understand it. And as I'm older, I can explain to people much better than what I could before. And I tell Tony, I'm like, I now see what you were doing. I now see it. It was annoying back then. I will still tell you that. But as an almost 50-year-old, it now makes sense to me. Like what you were seeing that far back, because you were just that much better than us and that much smarter. It now makes sense to me. It took 30 years or so, but so is there anything else that you want to anything else you have to say?
Yeah. I want to say thank you for being a real dude. Thank you for being a good dude. Our viewers may not know this, but we talk a lot. We're in a lot of the same circles. And so we're able just to speak our minds about, toys or communities and whatnot. And, it's not only difficult just to find the adults in the room, but to find someone who still protected their spirit of play, of adventure and invention, and who will just engage in real talk. Man, you're one of the realest dudes I know, not just online, but just period. So I wish you nothing but the best of success with the channel and everything else, with the streams, with the reviews. Your fantastic Monday night vlog where you host us all. I always look forward to it, and the chat room will be popping the way it is for a reason, because you curate a good base with what you do. And it's very welcoming, and it allows people not just to be themselves, but to really be their best selves. So I really emulate that. And that's why it was really hard for me to stream on Thursdays to be like, crap, I'm trying, I don't want to like take away from this dude, right? Because it was just tough. It's like you pick a day, you're going to go up against somebody.
That's
so I
just
was
it.
like,
That's just it. Like, there's no way to not.
Yeah.
There was really no one. Well, no one that I realized on Monday, but now I know. Yojo Jerk and I can't think of the other guy's name right now. They go on Mondays before me. There is no way around it. There's not enough days in the week.
Right.
And I tell everyone, I go, you have to pick a day that works for you. YouTube is a big channel, is a big platform. It's not like the 80s where you had to have a VCR and you prayed that when you were watching Family Ties, it was also recording Growing Pains at the same time.
You're right.
I think they were at the same time. Toy Games, thank you, Tony. And now, from what I understand, Legend Series is going to be on there, and he's always in my chat. So you can't be mad at somebody, when they're going opposite you. That's just how it is, it's your job to make sure that people come back and either watch you live or come back on the replay and watch it. And the replay crew is huge. That's I did my best to, and I didn't do it on purpose at first. It was as it continued to make sure that someone can just turn this on Tuesday or Wednesday and listen to what I have to say. And people seem to get a kick out of it. I think people want to hear me mess up the chats that I read. They want to hear me go off on, the Motu jokes of how many people we lose, ripping on McFarlane and all the Batman. I don't know. People enjoy it, so I'll keep doing it. Even if people weren't enjoying it, if I'm having fun, like you said, that's all that really matters.
And you're giving voice to a lot of sentiments that are out there. Like if I ever do, it's never planned. But I'll be surprised when people be like, "Yeah, me too." I was like, "Really? Wow, okay." I thought that was just me.
I've said before in my life how I am. I say a lot of things that people believe, they just don't want to say it. So they wait till someone else says it, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, I agree with you." I'm like, "Well, you know what? You do have a voice too. You could speak up, but I understand why some people don't." I've talked to Ken many times, and Ken, he doesn't like people not liking him, and he's told me before. He's like, it bothers me to think that people don't like me, and he's like, and you're just like, I don't give a fuck. Well, I don't, because I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
Right? Yeah.
If I lose a friend because of something that I said,
that hurts.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
But when someone's tuning in and they've never seen me before, and they're like, "You're just a fucking asshole," all right, cool.
Yeah. I'm that fucking asshole you never have to see again.
Exactly.
And I try to, at my old age, like I try to keep it real, but that doesn't mean being a jerk. That doesn't mean being mean. That doesn't mean being unkind, right? So I try to be myself. I'm not the best at hiding my irritation or frustration. People can tell when I'm annoyed. They can tell when I don't have patience for something. But I'm at the age now where I'm gonna have to have that building muscle, because if I do want to, say, become a father, or be involved or something like that, I'm going to have more patience. I'm gonna.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna. But the point is that I know I have to be authentic to myself, and I have to be honest. And I trust myself not to be a hateful piece of shit when I do it. So that I live by the truth. And once you start being more honest with yourself, once you realize that there are very exceedingly few things in life that are worth lying about, if at all, nothing's worth the lie. No person's worth lying to. Tell them the truth, see how the truth plays on their face.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't have to tell them. You don't have to go out of your way to tell someone that the shirt they're wearing looks awful. You can just let it go, right? You don't have to, because there's being a dick about it and being like, that shirt looks awful, and they're like, I didn't ask you. Well,
right.
Okay. But at the same time, lying to me, it just seems exhausting.
It is, because you're trying to construct a reality. You're trying to be something or someone that you're not. And life is too short for that. There's not enough energy for that. Just be yourself. I can't tell you how many people I've given that advice to. Just be yourself, man. I'm not the coolest cat on the block. I'm not the coolest cutter at camp. I don't have to be cool. I'm cool enough. It's enough to be Black Genghis. And Black Genghis is KJ. And KJ is this. What you see is what you get. Being that is, there's something freeing to it. The only thing more freeing would be literally standing naked on a balcony and pouring warm milk over my loins. It's like, that's how free I could be. Not on YouTube. Don't make the visual. Don't make the image.
Why milk? Like, where's the milk?
Why not? Why not milk?
I'm just trying to figure out, like where, like.
It's so free. I feel so free. Anyway.
You left me speechless. That does not happen very often, all right? I think we all know that.
But look, man, so sometimes on Toy Kind of Mood, I'll be real. I try not to be too real. I try not to be brutal. And and I love these guys. So we joke, we'll dig into each other sometimes, but it's all in good fun. They can take, oh, hush, quiet you. They can take good natured ribbing, right? Or sometimes, what I try not to do is I try not to talk about inside baseball or backstage stuff, because we do have a show that we run. We have a show that we try to put together. I'm less involved in it now. So I don't have the same amount of decision making that I used to have back in the day, to be like, no, let's go this way. Let's try for this, and it's like, we'll see what happens. We see what the results were. Who was right? Who was wrong? How did it come together? That kind of stuff. Right. Or like just giving license, just laugh, just laugh about something. It's not always super serious. We're talking about fucking toys. So I do miss that part of it.
Wait, what was that? Hold on. What was that again?
We're talking about freaking toys here. They're toys.
Did I steal that from you? Did I like subconsciously steal that from?
I don't know. Well, I mean, you've been on with Ryan. I had Ryan actually record it for me and send it over to me.
All right, there you go.
Because
I can do like a Black Genghis remix of that.
I feel like anytime I've ever seen Ryan on a show and they get to that point, and he's just like, we're talking about fucking toys here.
Yeah.
It just ends. Everyone's like, oh God, we're fucking.
All right, yeah. That's Ryan definitely rubbing off on me, definitely. But the point is, it was gonna be easier for me not to hide behind a character, not to try to be the coolest collector. I got the newest stuff. I got the latest stuff. That's not me. The reviews I'm about to put up, they're gonna be late as hell, because I've just only now been able to get my laptop back into fighting condition. Like, I was able to generate some elements for Toy Kind of Mood for Yojo June, and I was glad, because I was like, am I going to explode my computer doing this stuff? And I was able to like really put it together, and I was able to find a pace that allowed me to still do this and everything else. If there was a point where I couldn't comfortably collect and stream as Black Genghis, I was going to stop. So I'm glad I don't have to stop. But it wasn't without sacrifice. And I'm not going as in depth as I would like to. It's not going to happen as fast as I would like to. And I had to make peace with that, because there are other things that I'm doing. Time is the commodity. You're not getting time back. So you want to make the time that you spend with people worth it, whether it's going to visit friends, whether it's talking with a relative for an hour, whether it's, going to see a movie with old friends just because you haven't done it in a long time. Whether it's hopping on your friend's stream for 3 hours, and I knew this was going to be 3 hours. I was like, I'm gonna have to bullshit. I don't have enough shit to talk about 3 hours. You know what we do? We got plenty to talk about for 3 hours, but it's worth it. So that's the thing. But it's you have to be choosy. You have to be choosy with your time. You have to be choosy with the people you spend time with. So you being willing to spend this much time with me says a lot. And I'm appreciative and I'm honored by that. So thank you for that. Sincerely.
It was a wonderful interview. And again, it's hard. I'm doing it every other week. I even talked to Matthew about this. I know he's doing another show on Tuesdays. I could do it every week. I would. And I'm not doing review. I'm doing a show on Thursday no matter what. So it doesn't really matter to me. But it's kind of like I don't want to do the review guests. I don't want to keep bringing the same people on. That's the whole purpose, is to get to know someone. So when someone tunes in and it's like, who the fuck is this KJ guy? Someone can be like, oh, dude, he was on fucking Punk Show. You can find out about him. Who is Digital Diarrhea, right? Like, I went through all these people, and there's so many more. There's so many more in the chat here. If someone wants, not everyone wants to tell their story. Not everyone wants to get on film or get on camera. But there's a lot of people that they want to be asked. They want that opportunity to finally be like, all right, finally, I can finally do it. But I knew, I try and I don't want to get like, and I think some people have gotten upset because I haven't asked them on yet. And it's kind of like, I don't want to get like all just the people you always see in here. I want to reach out to some of the other people that have supported me, but they're not as vocal, and because I want them to feel like, hey, you're part of this too. Like, without you guys, I'm nothing here. And that's what this whole show is. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't had you on. I haven't had you on yet. And then, I don't want to have too many bearded white guys. People keep talking about bearded white guys in the community. I'm like, really? Is that a thing? I don't. So there's a lot of bearded white guys to begin with, and there's a lot of bald black guys. Like, I don't like. But no, it was great to have you, and I'm glad you agreed to it. These are always. This is my. I'm not gonna lie. This is the show that I am most proud of. When Mondays is grown and it's fun. It's a lot of work. Doing slides, it's not easy. And this, I just get to sit back. After I did a couple of them, like, we're just talking about your life. I don't need notes. I don't need slides. Sometimes someone will send me a picture of a dog that bit them on their lip and ripped it off. That's for you three, Sir Draw. So is there anything else that you want to say before we you gave me 3 hours and I appreciate it.
Check out Black Genghis on Instagram. Check out some of the live streams. I try to keep them evergreen, so sometimes we'll talk about what would a Mask reboot be, what would an Exo Squad reboot be. I try to keep it fun and nice and light, so hopefully you enjoy those. Definitely check out the Gridiron episode. Check out gridironprops.com. A lot of fun stuff, as you saw on this episode. Check out Tony's Figs on YouTube, Tony's_Figs on Instagram. Check out the Island of Misfit Toy Collectors, man, for real. Dreadnought Ryan, check that out on YouTube. A Toy Kind of Mood, celebrating a Joe Kind of June. Toy Kind of Mood on Instagram. Toy Kind of Mood on TikTok. Toy Kind of Mood on MySpace. Check out A Toy Kind of Mood wherever you can find them.
Not Rachel. Bring KJ some more milk. You have a friend for life.
I can't wait to pour that milk over my loins.
Thank you, Con. I hope every episode that I get to do with someone is entertaining to people. I have been lucky. I have not had any of those stinkers where you can tell the person doesn't really want to be there or doesn't know how to communicate. So I've been lucky, but most of the people we've already seen, live. We've already seen them do a live, so you kind of have an idea about them. It's one of those. I know it's going to happen one day, and I'm going to be like, oh,
We'll know what that episode is when it's only 30 minutes long.
Well, the one that Ken and I recorded is about an hour and 38 minutes long.
Well, you guys are busy. You guys are busy fellas.
Yes, and there was he was limited for time, and I do mention that it's probably the shortest one that I've done. I'm not just talking about our heights, but it's a good one. So, and Private Director, the series is great, Punk. You're my favorite punk, and I live in Chicago. Well,
right.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And anyone that is ever wondering, it is a punk rocker. I'm not just like some punk with toys. I'm a punk rocker. It was a play on words. I've had a lot of people ask me that. Like, yeah. So
Now I figured out. Yeah.
All his links, well, it's 2 links: his Instagram and his YouTube. If there's more, I'll put them back. I'll put them in later.
I'll put in the MySpace.
I love MySpace. MySpace was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Go over there and subscribe if you haven't. Again, really good show. You can see his character. It shows in your live streams, and that's why I think you're going to have a great. I think you are going to have a very, very great career here.
Thanks, man.
YouTube. I can't say that about everyone, but I've already seen your presence, and it's awesome.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, I'm just glad that you said yes. So, with that said, you guys have a wonderful night. KJ will be live in 2 Thursdays. No.
Yeah. So next Thursday, we're going live. Yeah.
I'll be live Monday, and then no more lives for me till the next Thursday, unless if it's at Joe Fest.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'll be at Joe Fest.
just have fun. Just have fun. And
that's what I plan on doing. I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful night. KJ, again, thank you. See you guys all soon.
Thanks, man. Peace.